make sure you tune into all the content creators that's on this panel. We have new people. Be nice, chat. If you are interested in joining the channel, joining a panel, fellas, please be patient. We're trying to cycle through new men, okay? So please, if you've been on here, just be patient, okay? I see your multiple DMs and I ignore the calls. Just be patient, okay? But how are you guys doing on panel? We have some new faces, some fresh faces. How are y'all?
Good.
Okay.
As well.
Did any
nice
of you
to be
guys,
here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Did anybody partake in the Blackout Friday?
No, I actually went shopping that day.
Y'all went shopping? Oh, Black businesses only? No? Y'all shopped at Target?
I didn't shop. I did it.
Why? You did it, Jazz? Why?
No, I said I did. I did not shop.
Why?
For me, I don't know if it was going to make the economic impact that we all would have hoped. For me, it was just to see how well Black people can get on one accord for something, just like get on the same page and get in alignment. I think that was more so what I wanted to see, just like how well we can all get on the same page about something, because that would be like a reflection of how well we can progress as a community.
Okay.
But
okay. But before we deep dive, if you don't know what we're talking about, I'm about to show a little clip. Okay, this is just a little icebreaker of what we're talking about regarding the blackout.
The call to action or inaction is asking consumers to not make any purchases Friday at major retailers, online retail, grocery stores, and gas.
Rainbow Push Coalition, along with other organizations, I know that Action National Network with Reverend Al Sharpton, NAACP, and others are calling for a boycott, not necessarily a boycott.
One is to demonstrate our purchasing power by denying it to the majority businesses, but also to demonstrate our purchasing power by supporting and promoting small businesses, Black businesses in particular.
We are not buying a single thing because prices are too high. DEI initiatives were pulled back. And we can do this because we have power as people, not buying from Target, Walmart, Superstores, Home Depot, etc. This one day can take millions away from a company, just like they've stolen money from us over the years.
Okay. So do you think she's right? Do you think that people should band together and have a blackout? Would it be impactful to society?
It was impactful before. It made an impact before once upon a time. So and make an impact. Black people as a whole were just more unified. We had more of a purpose to want to progress as a community. So it was a lot easier for us to get on the same page and sacrifice things for the long term, for the greater good. I don't think that's where we are now, but I know if we did get on the same page, we could make an impact because it's already happened. Our dollar is powerful, and with these mega corporations, if you withhold that dollar in exchange for them to do right by you, it can work. It has worked before. So.
Sorry.
No, but go ahead. Anybody agree or disagree with her?
I absolutely disagree. I feel like one day is not enough. And then number two, for us to boycott certain stores because DEI initiatives were pulled back, we look like a joke as a whole, as Black people, for thinking that is something we need to defend. First of all, DEI does nothing for us as a whole. And secondly, just because Target is no longer required to hire a transgender lady with blue hair and a plastic penis does not mean that I should not go shop in that store because that person cannot get a job showing up the way that they present themselves. Additionally, again, we have boycotted in the past and it has made a difference, but things like the Montgomery bus boycott lasted over a year. That's how you make a difference. So unless we're going to not shop at Target for a year, unless we're going to not shop at any of these businesses for a year plus until they, I guess, bring back DEI, then again, us not shopping for a day did nothing but make it easier for white people and others to shop in peace. No long lines. That's what I appreciated that day.
Well, it wasn't just for that one day. There was actually a plan for other days to make an impact as well. It wasn't just that one day. There were several other days that they had planned to do this boycott, etc. I don't disagree with what you're saying. It definitely takes more than just a day, but I know particularly for this boycott, they did have other days planned out to boycott as well. So, I mean, we got to start somewhere as Black people. What do you guys think would have been a better thing for us to do in this moment?
Jazz,
that people.
hold on 1 second, Victor. Jazz, leave and come back because your mic got static. Like, I don't know if it's
Okay.
your turn. Just leave and come back. Go ahead, Victor. Yeah. I, well, the movement. Well, the movement started by a white man. That's the one. This little black. I think this whole thing is dumb. Like, just like people boycotted. What was that brand? The B brand, the fancy brand with the kids. Balenciaga. People boycotting their back wearing it. It's like, so y'all not gonna shop for one day and then go right to Target the next day. Make it make sense. Like, I think I was having this conversation at the gym a couple days ago. I'm like, it's dumb. Y'all gonna go back shopping at Amazon and whatever stores y'all shop at, and it's gonna get back money no matter what. Right. So it's like, to me, it's dumb. Once again, Black people are following a white man, feminist movement, same thing happened. Like, it just, I feel like it makes people look dumb doing it.
I think it's it's a few things. First, I had a couple of things. First of all, why are we still listening to Al Sharpton? And second of all, he gave, now if this was a real movement, and if he was really trying to support the Black community, whatever they call themselves doing, and he gave all them gift cards away, why would he take them to Costco? Why wouldn't he take them to support Black-owned businesses? Why wouldn't he? I mean, if that was the whole goal, like, it don't even make sense. People just, I don't know. And then, like you said, piggybacking off you, like, if you're gonna do something, like, I don't mind, like, if you're gonna spend your money or boycott, like you say, it's gotta be for something tangible. Like, for me, until y'all focus on these kids out here dropping, I don't believe you. I just don't. I ain't gonna never believe you. I'm not gonna never believe you genuine as long as I hear people steady hollering about things that's just not really priority right now. I think y'all silly, actually.
Jazz is the only one that partake into this blackout. I know it's somebody else. What y'all scared?
I mean, I understand everyone's viewpoint. I don't totally disagree. For me, it was just trying to see Black people come together on something, you know.
Why do y'all always need a community before you like do something right? Like, why do y'all need a cosigner? Why do you need a group to put a battery in y'all back before y'all learn to think for yourself? Why are we like? Why is the culture always focused on what somebody else is telling you to do instead of them thinking for themselves? Like all of the talking points, the way that we talk, the way that we communicate, and it's so funny because the people that always talk about Black people coming together a lot of times disassociate themselves with other Black people that think differently than them, that would actually empower them and allow for them to actually make more of an impact in whatever it is that they need, right? So if you're talking about representation, for example, diversity, equity, and inclusion, they don't want Black Republicans, for example. You know what I'm saying? They don't want people that speak differently than them. They don't want people that could bring back information based off of lived experiences that may be completely different from being raised in a hood. And I just think that you just got to disband this whole thing. We've been doing the same, and not me as an anti, but as a culture, been doing the same shit for longer than I've been alive. And we conveniently get worse and worse off as a community. We've been saying the same Black Panther bullshit since the beginning of time, and collectively we are worse off than ever before when you compare yourself to the rest of the demographics that we then separate ourselves from. Like it would seem like we would come up with something else and be like, you know what? That shit ain't working. This shit ain't working. The way that we vote ain't working. The way that we meet to ourselves and attach ourselves to some movement that don't even mean shit, that we don't even know where it came from, ain't working. Like we keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And it will behoove you to say, you know what? I don't want to do that no more. Because usually the people that then say, you know what, I want to break away from this, those are the ones that break out and take off and do really, really well and be successful. I don't understand the mindset behind like the follower mentality and an inability to be able to educate ourselves and think for ourselves. What's the goal? What's the goal? Well, hold on. Let's mine this out, right? Let's say hypothetically that John Schwartz, right, the earthy looking John Schwartz guy, is a part of the People's Union. Didn't decide that he wanted to post this. That then we played a game of telephone, and all of a sudden it became a Black community issue, right? Everything become Black. Let's say hypothetically that he didn't do this, and that Black people came up with it, and it actually was something that we, you know, was conceived by us, for us, by us, FUBU. What's the goal? No, not you. What's the goal of this economic blackout is what I'm saying. From a Black culture perspective, what was the goal? Assuming that John Schwartz never came up with it, why did y'all jump on board? Or why do y'all think that people jumped on board?
They were able to sell the Black community a dream that if we just all didn't shop for one day, our $1.3 trillion buying power was somehow going to take away from all of these businesses and cause them to fail within that day. And, you know, much like Jazz had mentioned, even though they have other days lined up, it's still one day at a time and it's pretty spread out. So it's not a consistent effort. And much like Victor said, it's not consistent, and therefore we cannot measure the actual impact, if there even is one, that comes from it. And so apparently everybody thought that Black people were going to stay home for a day as if people don't have errands to run, as if maybe that might have been somebody's only off day to go do what they needed to do. But, you know, folks insisted that if you guys just don't shop today, these countries will put some respect on our names, as if them rolling back DEI initiatives was somehow a disrespectful notion towards Black people.
As though DEI was impacting us in a positive way in the first place.
Wasn't. And I don't know why they made DEI synonymous with Black, because in case you guys haven't done any research, DEI mainly benefits white women and Asians. And of course now the gays. So
I 100% agree.
Can we stop?
And people front loaded. Like they overshot the day before at the same places that they said that they was gonna boycott.
So they made up for it before it ever even happened. And then, of course, Black folks went right back shopping the very next day, the day after that, today, they'll be shopping tomorrow. So.
But can we please stop limiting DEI just to race and the LGBTQIA plus community? DEI is so much more than that. And we sit here and we talk about all of the things that is bad about it, but we don't talk about the things that are good about DEI initiatives. DEI means access. DEI means having technology. Let's just say you have someone who's hearing impaired or visually impaired, making sure that if they're starting a job or position, that they have the things they need to do their work. So it's more than just limiting it to race and the gays. So I hate how we do that. And then we just talk about the bad things about it. It's a lot of positive. Now, to answer the question, what's the blackout impactful to society? I'm gonna say absolutely not. In theory, I do think that it has some validity, but I think where we went wrong is that times are different. Times have changed. I think if Black folks want to make an impact, I think we need to do that in a different way and find out different avenues to do that. Economic impact may not be that. And I do agree with Victor. We do need to get into the habit of making sure our community is good and making sure that Black folks are the movers and the shakers, for an example, to ensure that if we are the people making those policies, or we're the people in XY positions, that we can make those necessary changes. So no, it wasn't impactful, but I do think.
But why would I want y'all to make the necessary policies or changes? And the majority of the cities that y'all run is fucked up. Let's say, for example,
believe it or not, there is a lot of bias.
Hold on. Let's explore it. Let's say, for example, let's go to Chicago, right? Y'all got representation. You got a Black person. Well, even before Brandon Johnson, you had a person that fit all of the profile. She was Black, gay, a woman, and Lori Lightfoot, right? You had all of the initiatives all rolled into one big ass ball that continued to sink the city and throw it under the bus. And then right after that, y'all voted in Brandon Johnson, who was 10 times worse than Lori Lightfoot. And so what's the point of representation? Why does it always have to be somebody that's Black or somebody that looks like you instead of somebody that benefits you? Because I'm gonna be honest with you. If it just so happened to be a white man that is putting the city in the best position possible that'll ultimately benefit my family and raise my property values and improve my schools, improve the roads or whatever, I'm probably going to vote for the white man, and I'm not going to vote for the Black guy just because he's Black. So what I'm trying to understand again is what the fuck is up with, and don't get me wrong, I understand cultural norms and preferences and all of that. But when it comes to business, when it comes to doing the thing that's in the best interest of the country or the city, because local representation is more important, in my opinion, than national representation. Why are we so stuck on identity in any capacity? Why is that meaningful to y'all? What do you need? Like, what
I
is this do to y'all? Why is it so meaningful?
I think we might be stuck on identity is because, I mean, that's what this country was built off of. You had a group of people that said, hey, we identify as white, we identify you as Black, and we're going to posture and position ourselves as superior than you just because you're Black. They made it about race and identity from the very beginning. They made sure that everyone who didn't look like them and identified as them had a disadvantage in this country. They set it up like that. You know what I mean? Like the way that they even imposed on how to create society. Like it was clear as day. It wasn't that
they gave these people disadvantages because these were degenerate people. It was just like, no, I feel like that I'm superior. I'm the superior race as this white race. And because I hold the economic power, I'm going to make every other race, you know, make it difficult for them in their communities to thrive because for some reason they feel that's a threat to them. I mean, that's just a fact. We're not pulling it out of the air.
Let's assume for the sake of conversation that we can't. Let's assume for the sake of conversation we can't let go of the past. Why are Asian
They haven't let go of the past.
Well, hold on, give me a second, because we always like to compare ourselves against white people. How come Asian people aren't suffering in the same way that the black community is?
I don't know. Why don't
it's
you
about
ask,
race?
You're right. Why aren't they? Why aren't these other communities a threat like we are? When all we've ever tried to do in this country was thrive and progress on our own. And every time that we've tried, we minded our business. We developed our own hospitals, our own schools, libraries. We had our own communities that were thriving. And for some reason, that was a problem for white people in power. And so instead of us allowing us to continue to progress as a race, they bombed us out. They flooded us out. They burned us down.
I'm not talking about.
Can I finish? You have to understand what that is, because that's why we're in the state that we are in now. There's never been any other group in America that has had to have dealt with building up and then being bombed out at every time that they have. There's no other group in this country that can say they've experienced the same thing Black people have for so long. So now y'all look at the Black community as if we're just all degenerates and we've never strived for anything better and we're uneducated and we're not trying, when that's not been the case. We've always been exceptional people. But unfortunately, our exception, you know, us being exceptional and us unifying as a community is a direct threat to white supremacy. This is not a fallacy. This is a fact. So when it comes to these other communities for some reason, right? We can unpack those reasons. They're not bothered the way our communities are. History has shown that every time that we have progress, it has been a problem in this country. So until we address the reason why these people are doing this to us and continue to do these things to our communities, then maybe we could get to the reason why our community is stuck. It's because it could be a deeply rooted trauma, because every time that we've seen ourselves progress, we've been killed for it. Every time that we've tried to be successful within our communities, we've endured.
Who's killing y'all today besides y'all?
Well, right now, where we are today, we are not unified. We've assimilated to.
No, that wasn't the question. Who is holding y'all down, and who is killing y'all today besides y'all?
What I'm saying is, I mean, the same people that have the power to do the things that they did before to our communities, those powers are still alive today. So, but for their benefit, we have been bogged down so much as a community that we don't even try to get on the same page anymore. We don't even try to come together and rebuild our communities, because a lot of us have a lot of this individualistic mindset where it's just about, well, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, y'all, you know, I'm not struggling. You know, I got my job. I got my check. I'm not sacrificing for the greater good or for my community. That's why we're in the kind of position that we're in, because a lot of us are only for self. And I think the difference is back then, as a community, we were more about the progress and for our children's future. And that's why it was easier for us to sacrifice back then, because we knew it was for the greater good. Right now, we as Black people aren't willing to do so because we're too comfortable with, you know, living in this society where we just have to deal with systemic racism and
well, maybe we just backstab each other and crabs in a bucket mentality. Maybe that's one of the.
In which case, how is that a white person?
None of that shit is
coming into each other.
Just like, I don't understand.
I'm not saying that there's not work to be done.
For every example that you pose, where you can say, well, this is what happened in history that was bad to us, because literally every single culture on every single continent has gone through shit like this.
Yeah, but we're talking about America.
Hold on. Okay, cool. Let's talk about America.
Let's stay on America.
For every situation in which you can name, that you can say, for example, you can say Tulsa, Black Wall Street, all that stuff. I could name you situations that you've had a leg up, you've had opportunities, and you completely fumbled it, and it had nothing to do with systematic racism.
Which ones?
Detroit, 67 riots, burning down your own city. The
Why did they
blackest
do
city
that?
inside of the United States of America, that was the most powerful city in the United States of America during the 40s, 50s, and 60s, especially at the time when we had the manufacturing.
Why did they do that?
Manufacturing facilities that ultimately brought Black people out of poverty. And the interesting part about it is that Black people controlled the entire city. We controlled the mayor's office, we controlled the schools, we was the police chiefs, we were the firefighters, we were the majority of the residents, we controlled the entire city, and we stole, pillaged, raped, plundered, destroyed the entire city until ultimately it was the largest city to file for bankruptcy in 2008.
Why?
So, because we destroyed it ourselves. It ain't had nothing to do with nobody else.
What I'm asking you is, what prompted that? Did they just say, we just want to ruin our communities? Why did they riot?
We burned down our own cities.
Why?
We burned down our own stores because of the 67 riots. The same shit that y'all did during Black Lives Matters.
But what happened?
You burned down Wendy's, you burned down
Did they just do it for no reason?
You did all the dumb shit. And the main reason that you did it had nothing to do with the reason that you was protesting. As a matter of fact,
Anton, what I'm asking you is
this. When they researched and found the people that actually ran Black Lives Matters, it had nothing to do with the Black community in the first place.
Okay, we're not talking about that. I'm talking about what prompted the riots in the 60s in Detroit. What happened?
It doesn't matter what prompted it. The fact of the matter is, nobody made you burn your own city down. White people didn't come through and torch the city. No. It wasn't one Klansman that was in sight that came through and burned down the city. It was Black people that burned down their own cities. It doesn't matter the reason why you felt like you wanted to do it. You didn't have to make your own city a food desert. You didn't have to destroy the jobs. You didn't have to burn down your community where the people that own the stores took the insurance money and moved the fuck away and got out of there and said, I ain't about to hang around these people. That's going to destroy my stuff and riot as soon as they get mad at something. You don't have to destroy your own shit. You don't have to park on your own lawn in 2025. You can pay your property taxes. You can take your kids to school. You can make sure that you don't cuss the teachers out. You can make sure that you vote a certain way. You can stop advocating for immigrants inside of your communities. You can continue to advocate for the things that's best for your community, such as a strong tax base and people going to work every day. You can stop acting like you a victim and get off the fucking Section 8. You can get a job. You can go to school. They got community colleges. They got millages. They got scholarships. It's every fucking thing that's at y'all fingertips. As a matter of fact, it's so bad that y'all let people that ain't even from here that look like you, Nigerians, Jamaicans, people from all over, and they get way more out of this fucking country when they come over here, especially even if they come over here illegally and they look just like you. But how come ain't nobody holding them back?
Okay, so can I just say this really quickly? I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I'm trying to get to the root cause, because you can't say the reason why that happened doesn't matter, because the majority of those things that were burned down, are you saying that every building, every business that was burned down during that time was Black owned? Are you saying that Black people owned those? Okay, but before you answer that, the incident that happened, the reason why those riots even happened in the first place was because of police brutality and harassment against African Americans, racial injustice, poor housing, lack of jobs, and poverty amongst the Blacks living in the 12th Street area of Detroit. So again, I ask, I understand why you say the effect of these things don't benefit Black people, but why aren't we ever talking about the root of the cause of these issues? Why are we rioting in the streets? Because we are living our lives and not being treated like human beings by the people that say that they're here, that they're here to protect us, and we pay our tax dollars for them to come to our aid when we call for them. So I understand it doesn't benefit Black people to destroy a town, especially a town that they don't even own. They didn't burn down those businesses because they owned them. That was a retaliation, because what else are they doing? How else can they be heard? They are met with violence every single day. We as Black people are met with violence in America,
as a collective every single day. They set it up.
People though.
They set it up. They set it up that way. They decided that we were the enemy and we were the we've never had a history of being violent towards anybody. We've never. We just
stop there. I think everybody understands that. That you feel like Black people had justifiable reasons to riot in a city. However, let's start number one. You can acknowledge.
I wasn't finished though. That's okay. I wasn't finished.
12 minutes, please.
It doesn't matter if I was talking for 12 minutes. Until I'm finished talking, then that's when you should speak. Jesus. Why are you being rude? As soon as I'm done with my mic, then you can go. As soon as I'm done, sweetie, I don't really care. I was still talking. Okay. I was still talking. So just relax, baby. You'll get your time.
Okay.
You'll get your time. You'll get your time. I don't really care. I'm talking right now. So
just icebreaker, y'all.
Thank you. Like, don't be rude. I'm talking right now. Let me finish. So like I was saying, I understand that it doesn't make sense. And there is no justifiable reason, but they weren't benefiting from those neighborhoods prior to those riots. They weren't benefiting afterwards. It was a retaliation to the same problem that's been the problem for every riot. And instead of addressing that problem, y'all always want to address the people that they have made into victims. Why are they being mistreated? Why are they not given the same advantages and the benefits as everyone else? Why are they being over-policed? Why is this even an issue within the community? Why are we addressing systemic racism if we all know that it exists and we all know that it's a true thing and we all know that it has destroyed communities forever? Why aren't we mad enough at that problem to try to eradicate it instead of being mad at the people that have been a victim of it or have been affected by it the most? Why is that always the issue? Now you can speak.
Well, thank you. And I think so. First of all, we can acknowledge the fact that police brutality is the reason why people felt the need to burn down these cities. And for whatever reason, you see that as a justifiable cause. However, if you were to burn down your city, how does that make the officer who committed said assault, who committed said crime, pay for what they did? Because all that happens is the people who feel bad for the person who died, for the person who was assaulted, for the person who was beaten, those people are the ones suffering because now they don't have jobs, because now it's not safe to go outside, because now guess what? The police is now looking at the Black community as being violent because you burned down an entire city. So
girl, we don't have to burn down anything for them to look at us as being violent. That is very
ignorant. Let her finish.
They never have to do anything for them to view us as violent. So that's a lie. Let her take a riot for them to view us as violent. So
guys, let her finish. One mic, y'all.
Well, Jazz believes that rioting is not violent. I don't know anybody who's been in the midst of rioting that it was a violent act. So if your job, if your goal is to get the police and to get the government to believe that Black people are harmless, that Black people don't deserve this treatment, then what in the world is burning down a city, rioting through the streets, toting guns all through the streets going to do to help create this innocent image? Additionally, again, if you are burning down a city, what does that do to pass legislation? What does that do to bring attention to the higher ups who could actually do something about this police problem? Next thing is, then these same people who are marching through the streets, burning down every building, costing people jobs, houses, and the city, all of this money, which would have to be recouped from somewhere else, which most likely would come from an education system. If we're going to go ahead and say that this is the way we solve things, again, what legislation did we ever see passed because people rioted? We saw legislation passed because people marched. We saw legislation passed because people flooded their Capitol buildings and demanded that legislation be passed so that they could change their status quo. Rioting does nothing but give us the image of being savages, ma'am. So the way that we can go ahead and sit here and go on and on for 20 minutes about the root cause of the problem. The root cause is that, yes, there's going to be a bad apple on every tree, but to burn down the forest because one bad apple made you sick sounds literally ridiculous. And this is why all of these Black movements, why all of these riots were seen as a joke, and all white folks and every other race does is look at us like, why the hell would you do that? You never saw in the Chinese, the Japanese, or whatever riot and burn down their towns when they were put in internment camps back in the 40s. You don't see Mexicans or anybody else burning down their towns because they're getting deported. Yet for whatever reason, Black people think if I burn down my town, if I burn down where I spend my Black dollar, if I burn down the place where my cousin, grandma, sister, uncle, and little kid are employed, that is somehow going to make my situation better. Now you have to rebuild a city with money that you already didn't have. Now you have to rebuild a city and look for public safety in an area in which you have convinced everybody that they don't need police. So now you have police not wanting to show up in this area. Now you have people not wanting to move to this area. Now for the next 10 to 20 years, you have development issues. Now for the next 10 to 20 years, you don't have any initiatives or any incentive for new business to come in here. Now for the next 10 to 20 years, you have displaced kids from their schools. You have displaced parents from their homes. And yet for whatever reason, you think that is the solvency to solve the problem of one person on one police force who made a bad decision.
First of all, it didn't take a riot. It didn't take a riot in the 60s for police or white people to view us as violent. We didn't have to do anything for them to inflict the type of evilness that they inflicted upon Black people since the very beginning of time. And it is a historical fact that no, Black people are not linked to any type of violence towards other people just based off their skin color like Europeans were. We did not have to come over here and hurt anybody for them to already automatically want to hurt us. And that's what's been going on. And that is why, and it's so funny that you want to talk about pillaging and burning down towns. Do you have the same smoke for the white people in white hoods that were burning down the lineages of our ancestors' towns and our communities? Where's the smoke for them? What type of legislation was passed when it was passed in law for them for it to be legal to ride around in hoods and terrorize Black people just for the hell of it? We didn't cause that. We didn't ask that. We didn't provoke these motherfuckers to hate us. They just did. So for you to sit here and say that they're going to look at us as savages when they've been the savage from the start, when they have been a savage towards us from the very beginning, when it didn't take a damn police riot and police brutality for us to even retaliate, for you to say that we deserved it because this was our response after being mistreated for years and years and years, that's very ignorant. And you sound very, I understand the viewpoint where you're coming from now, but what I will say is that it's very wrong. And for you to sit here and say that it's our fault that they view us that way when we have never done anything at all for the treatment that we have been given in this country is ignorant as fuck, sis. I don't know where you're getting your history from, and I don't know what side you lean on, but to sit here and say that we deserved this police brutality because for whatever reason, because it's a response to them, but you don't want to address them even mistreating us for centuries, it's crazy work. It was legal for them to take your ancestors. You can roll your eyes all you want. It's the truth. You're trying to deny the truth because you've assimilated to whiteness, and that makes you very comfortable. You're individual that has an individualistic mindset, and you're not about the community. So any real truths about the community makes you irritated. But the fact is still a fact. Black people have never done anything to deserve the type of treatment that we have been given systemically, racially in this country. So before you want to talk about us and what our retaliation is, address the fucking issue. That's my problem with y'all sometimes, because y'all always want to talk about everybody else after the fact, the effect of it. But what was the root cause of it? Why aren't we addressing and dismantling systemic racism? Why aren't we mad that people looked at us as inhumane or people that weren't human, and that it was normal for them to hang us up from trees, take pictures of us and smile with their children and say, we caught a nigga? That's okay though. That's okay for them to go in and ravage our neighborhoods. When in history have we ever done that to any other people? When? We've never done that. So no, baby, I'm not going to sit here and allow you to say that, oh, how can they look at us as innocent if we burn down our neighborhood
with the trouble
towards us?
That's
fine. That's ignorant.
We gotta
and I'll allow your ignorance to be your bliss.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Damn right. Damn right.
We gotta go to the next. This was an icebreaker. Anybody want to put some final thoughts?
So can I ask a question?
No.
Can I ask a question?
Questions.
No. So I'm curious. Like, there's some truth to everybody on both sides, but I'm curious, like, how, like, so you don't consider the Indians or the East Indians or the Asians minorities, and they seem to be thriving. So I'm like, why are we, like, how many more generations are we going to use this as a crux?
I don't think.
Because I don't see.
Okay, so weren't the native. Weren't the Native Americans given their land? Weren't they given some type of reform or repair? And weren't they left alone? I believe that's what happened, correct? We've never been given any type of reform or repair for what we have lost, for what was taken from us, for us to have been able to rebuild. We are still old.
So
these other
when I
communities
said
been given
Indians,
what they're owed, right? They have been given what they're owed, and they are out the way. But for some reason, I don't know why that is. I don't know why we can't seem to progress without it being a problem for other people. That's history has shown that's what it is.
But
every
Jazz,
time we make progress, it's a problem for them.
But Jazz, you don't think that the Black people bring that upon themselves? Like, let's just be honest.
When we make progress, we bring problems upon ourselves.
No,
because
are from Black people. But let's just be honest. Look at the 1,500 people got. They blew that shit off. Like, so imagine if the Black community got land, got extra money. They're about to blow that shit off. They're not gonna know what to do. I gotta meet you.
See, I'm not of that mindset, Q.
Sorry, Jasmine. Other people talk, you got static, but it's like we can't keep blaming like what happened 100 years ago. Like we have.
It wasn't that long ago, Q.
Okay, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when we weren't alive. We weren't alive. So why
I was alive 20 years ago?
Okay, not 20. When the slavery, when all that shit happened, we weren't alive.
We don't have to be alive for us. And what happens?
Guys, we dictate our future. We do. The crime that's happening is Black on Black crime.
Oh my God, girl. Okay, you know what?
Like you make
let's move on. Let's move on because the ignorance is very bliss.
Guys, guys, what do you think is getting more crime? Black on Black or white on Black?
What do you mean? The only reason you even saying Black on Black crime right now is because you've assimilated so much to whiteness. You don't even realize how deeply racist that is. There's white on white crime. There's Mexican and Mexican.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking today's society, where do you see an increase in numbers? Black on Black crime or white on Black crime? Where statistics? It's not a simulation.
That's an ignorant question, Q.
I'm asking you. No,
that's an ignorant question. Of course you're gonna say you're mostly in proximity to Blackness.
It's about proximity.
It's about proximity.
No,
you're not in a majority white neighborhood where these white people are killing their wives and their children. You're not in proximity to the violence that happens there.
I went to a white college.
You're right. You know what? You're right. You're right.
White neighborhood. What are you talking about?
You're right. We commit the most crimes and we deserve everything we've ever gotten.
I never said that. I asked you.
You're right. You're right. No, we commit the most crimes.
It's the fact that we keep on blaming others for our actions.
It's not about blaming others for. I'm not talking about degenerate Black people here. Okay, stay focused. I'm not talking about Black people that are rah in the street. I'm talking about Black people that understand that what we've endured is something that we've never endured. That we never deserved, and that we are still owed in this country. That is not to say that we cannot progress as Black people. That is not to say that we can't do anything to fix our communities, but that is to say that the government played a part in our destruction as a community, and they continue to do so today, and they should be held accountable for that and give some type of reform or repair specifically for a community that they destroyed time and time again. We were promised 40 acres and a mule. We got our 40 acres and a mule. A few free slaves got their 40 acres and a mule. And when a new president became president, they went and took all that shit back. Is that fair? Is that right? That disturbs that disturbed every type of progress that we could have had for generational wealth.
No, it's excuses. It's
not excuses. What's their excuse for taking the things that we've built? What's their excuse for destroying our community?
We weren't there.
What do you mean? It doesn't matter. We don't have to be there for us to still be impacted by it.
But Jazz, do you think that only happened in America?
It doesn't matter what happens in America.
But it does America. It does happen. It does matter. It does matter. Because
it doesn't matter.
We gotta go to the next topic. Sorry, y'all. This is an icebreaker. Let's go on to the next topic. Let me get to the super chat, y'all.
I can't deal with the racism denying.
Miss Chalet, fine as hell. There was actually a fight to be fought, Jazz. Hello, Miss Chalet. Am I saying your name right, Miss Chalet? Michaela. Damn. Yeah, my bad.
Yes, Michaela. It's all good. Hey, y'all.
Well, my
Thank
good
you.
sis Michaela making her panel debut. Y'all leave poor Al Sharpton alone. He didn't know what he was doing, like when he was an informant. LOL. Boycott Jazz Mike. She sound like she in Cook County. Michaela, we appreciate you coming on this panel. Michaela is absolutely spot on about the MLK boycott. It lasted for 381 days. Can y'all mute? Because y'all got feedback. Imagine telling people to go shopping the day before boycott. When I'm struggling, I don't see Al Sharpton bringing people together to help me. Only the criminals get that attention. Community? It says Black culture is American culture, regardless of how anyone feels. Whites, Blacks, and Hispanics make American culture. We all get along outside of cities. This divided is BS. I love all my brothers and my sisters. There she goes again with the white supremacy. Jazz don't even know the history. She expects the government to teach her, I guess. Somebody give Jazz a hug and take away her slave papers. Jazz, go talk. Oh, my internet moving crazy. Oh, sorry. Jazz, go talk to the rappers, entertainers, and ball players to put the money together and create a Black community. Man in the background, Jazz needs a sandwich. Why are we feeling trauma for situations we never experienced? The victim mentality needs to be gone along with DEI. It's so old and tired. You know it's serious when Jazz takes off the glasses and squints. Michaela is fired. You are subject to propaganda and are not inclined to think for yourself. That's it. Oh, didn't you see, Michaela? We got a celebrity in the house. Why is Q allowing Jazz to go on this long? Ask soliloquies. Jazz grew up in an upper-class neighborhood. Don't let her fool y'all with the Oppression Act. The lady in the bottom left is just a...
Bitch, you don't know me.
Black people do each other dirty, then say white man programmed us to do it. Stop blaming the white man for your poor choices. Jazz may as well change her screen name to Barbecue Chicken. All I hear is Jazz is anti-Jazz argue. Same person. Jazz getting predictable. Clown by Michaela. Jazz has to be one of the most racist professional victims alive. She should host a CNN show. Cooking Jazz Week. Wait, her hair is weird, y'all. That's her hair. That's Jazz hair. Yo, Anton, every time Michaela talk, I become more of a step crash dummy. Hey, yo, Michaela cooked Jazz, destroyed her, made her look foolish. Damn. Black on black. I'm rolling with you, Jazz. You know they can't go against Massa. Jazz, stop saying we. You were never a slave. Will Jazz ever acknowledge Black folk had white slaves? Jazz, you lack emotional maturity, just like rioters who destroy their own property or someone else's. Nobody is responsible for your reaction but you. You, as Black people, do not eliminate discrimination or KKK. White people did. Whenever a pro-Black is losing, they go back in time to justify their argument because that's the only time period they can make sense. Michaela, glad you're here. Jazz has no idea who she's even talking to. Michaela, you are a great example of a strong Black woman. Why is Noelle allowed to filibuster and dominate the discussion? We get it, Jazz. You just discovered pro-Blackness. Somebody get Michaela a chef's hat because she's cooking Jazz. Barbecue chicken alert. I'm with Anton. I'm tired of this bougie Kool-Aid. It ain't working. Can we do something different? Let's bury the past and build our own locally. Shout out to Newt. Yes, Lord. Finally, Miss Michaela on here to set Jazz straight. Jazz got the Myrtle Urkel glasses. Still fine. The victim mentality will always keep us as the Black community in last place compared to other races. We have Black people in leading roles in schools, businesses, Black CEOs, etc. We have Black millionaires and billionaires. Jazz doesn't know anything about history. It's sad. To be fair, Jazz was making the point that it all spiraled from racism, but what we did was not right. I don't think Jazz is playing the victim. She's trying to hold all players accountable. Jazz need to hook up with Dr. Umar. Jazz is dedicated to misunderstanding any point other than her own. Mentions mask, Jazz, the ignorant. Jazz, you know, they know the true history of Black people. We are the engines of this country. Our history here predates Columbus. Q, Anton, control your pen and shut her up. Jazz, my grandma was alive in March in 60s, but they didn't stop her from owning 2 businesses. She didn't use victimhood. Black people wouldn't even know what to do with 40 acres and a mule. The difference between us and other races is that other races love each other and work together as one, but we are only for self and only love street people. Jazz is the only ignorant person here. Bag chasers, shout out to you. True Benz, shout out to you. Bag chasers live in safe neighborhoods. Prove me wrong. If you can't look forward, you are doomed, period. Jazz, you got served toasted, cooked, and ate with a fork in it. Anton, bring her to the front of the church and pray for her misunderstanding. Hi, Michelle Obama. What's the root of the problem? Simple. Sin. This is not a black or white issue. It's an issue of the soul. Jazz needs to chill out. A black man was just gunned down in Texas with his 7-year-old daughter by another black man. So I guess that's the white man's fault too, huh? Victim, 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 victim. Jasmine Victim Olympics more. People who think like Jazz put Trump in office, and we thank you ever so much. I guess all the black people thriving today must not got the memo that they are still oppressed. I better write an email to the black CEO of the hospital I work for so he can get on code. We make black history every day. Every decision and action you make creates a ripple effect that affects us. Some people get caught up on the past so much they can't progress to the future. Bet, don't disrespect Mally. Jazz, are you still impacted by anything you talk about? You act like black people are still being targeted, fam. And you're quick to snap on other black person. Hypocrite. Jazz needs some serious wood. Imaginary struggles, right. In an argument, Jazz will tire you out quicker than a 9-to-5 shift. It says, how we talk black culture when light skins and mixed kids, not like us, Caribbean Jamaicans and black British, can talk on black issues. Okay, we can't talk on black issues. Crazy. Kayla, on my bag, Jazz told old girl, wait till I'm done, then you can talk. Then immediately interrupted her when she began talking, shaking my head. Be quiet. Don't try to disrespect Molly. Miss Michaela, you cooking. Shout out to you guys in the chat. Be nice. Thank you for everybody for being here. Supposed to be icebreaker, but it was a good little conversation, you know? Not everybody can agree. But
should I leave? Is my mic really that bad? Because I could just go.
No, so your mic is good when you're talking, but let's say if I'm talking and you're unmuted, it's static. So like if someone else is talking, you gotta mute. But when you're talking alone, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. All right. So did anybody shout out to y'all in the chat? We appreciate you guys here every Monday night. Did anybody see Trump and the president of Ukraine video? Right? Okay. Let's watch a little clip of it what Trump, Vance, and the Ukraine president had to say.
We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. The country is in big trouble. Wait a minute. No, you've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You haven't been alone.
We
gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion. We gave you military equipment, and you met up brave, but they had to use our military equipment. If you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
I said a lot of times to American.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're.
Y'all might not like my take on this. They didn't let him talk. Like, they didn't. I don't think they let the president of Ukraine talk. Like, it's just. I don't think they went in there with a clear mind to let's just have the conversation. But that was my take. It was 2 against 1. That's not fair.
He didn't need to talk. Didn't need to talk.
And they already talked.
Was he trying to make rules?
They had already talked.
Oh.
Not just that, he came in there with like a demanding type attitude, like you're gonna keep giving me money, because he was used to the, pussies we had in office last time who just kept giving him whatever he wanted. And therefore he thought he was gonna walk into this administration and make those same demands. And of course he had to FAFO.
Yeah. The thing about it is just that if you're familiar, like if you deep dive into what's happening over there in Ukraine and between Russia and Ukraine, number one, for all of y'all liberals and all of y'all Democrats and stuff like that, they don't even fuck with y'all like that. They don't fuck with your culture. They don't rock with you. They don't believe in the same things that you believe in that the Liberal Party represent. And so, you know, what I see from a lot of people, honestly, is borderline treason. It's borderline, you hate America, you hate Trump, you anti-America, you anti-Trump, and you looking for any reason to side with an op, even if an op is completely different from your culture and they don't even respect things that you respect. If you understood, and again, I always reference this, and I tell people a lot of times, I say, hey man, you need to go and look up the fight, the knife fight between the Ukrainian and the Korean.
B, can you hear me?
And it was on the front lines, and it was brutal. And it's on X. You can go and look at it on X. It was one of the most brutal things that I've ever seen in my entire life. And people dying every single day because he want to have an arrogant attitude, and you want to argue. Arguing is a privilege. That's something that you can do when you have leverage. That's something that you can do when the world is civilized. That's not something that you can do when you don't when your people is on the front line dying every day. Women is over there every day getting great. Every day they getting great. Guys is over there getting snatched up off of the streets because they don't want to fight, and so they hiding out from this administration, the Zelenskyy administration, and then ultimately they're being forced to fight and they don't want to. Win or lose, they're saying we don't want to do this no more. Their own people are saying that they don't want to do it anymore. And you over here begging for resources and running around the world. Number one, we shouldn't even have been in this in the first place. It's not even something that we should have been funding. Secondly, this is Europe's problem. It's not even our problem. And then third, you want to come over here with a bad attitude and you want to go back and forth? What are we talking about? And again, I see so many people. I see people saying they stand with Canada, they stand with Ukraine, they stand with all of these people that's against the United States of America. Like I said, I think it's borderline treason. And it ain't nothing to talk about. I've never seen, first of all, I'm thankful that we even get a chance to peel back the curtain, because we've never seen an administration be this transparent in history, ever. Ever. We've never seen this an administration be this transparent.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I just think that the disrespect calls for them to have to do it on their own. I think we should leave them to their own devices, let them do it, cut off the spigot, don't give them no more money, and let them solve the problem on their own and see how they fly. See how I fare. I think that they've grown entitled, just like some of the people that's in the United States of America, they've grown entitled. And that's what you've seen display, and that's what you've seen play out. But thank God we got masculinity into the office and we're not having that shit. I'm with it.
Does anybody disagree? Trey? You quiet, Trey. You quiet.
I'm not privy to all of the Ukraine-Russia backstory. But last I looked, you know, Russia invaded Ukraine. And if they were to continue and they take over Ukraine, then they could encroach upon our NATO allies. And then that would then cost us more money and more lives. So like, I do believe in like preventative maintenance. So I think we did do the right thing to involve ourselves. But I mean, I'm not privy to all of everything going on, you know, behind the scenes.
Well,
you mean the NATO that we pay over 85% into that we don't even need, just because somebody call you? Listen, you know what the United States of America is? The United States of America is the equivalent of a woman putting you in their phone as food.
Wait, one more time? It's the equivalent of what?
Is the equivalent of a woman putting you in her phone as food.
Not the food.
That is what the United States of America is. We basically subsidizing the rest of the world when we broke.
Yeah,
we broke.
We're broke.
We're broke. We don't have no money for nobody else. But we subsidizing the rest of the world for what? Because they say that they're on our team, they're our ally, and we paying over 85% of what goes into NATO, and we don't get any benefit from it. What, tell me what the benefit of us doing the preventative maintenance is. And it's not even our problem, right? Because let's be clear, this ain't just this ain't America's money. This is our money. This is taxpayer money every single day.
There is some taxpayer money.
Help me to understand why it's beneficial for us to spend hundreds, if not trillions of dollars over a period of time, but certainly with the Ukraine situation, hundreds of billions of dollars to make sure that they over there and they can do whatever it is that they want to do. To a guy that was an actor. Let's be clear. Zelenskyy is not even like the person that is not even the person that is not even the person that he presents himself to be. But
we can say the same thing about Trump, though.
For the sake of conversation, what does it benefit us to send them hundreds of billions of dollars?
To my understanding is, firstly, we didn't spend trillions of dollars. And
so over a period of time, we send trillions of dollars overseas in foreign aid and making sure that we take care of other countries. We absolutely, over a period of time, make sure that we subsidize other countries by sending them aid. 100%.
If you could put a source in to confirm trillions of dollars, I would love to see it. But to my understanding, it's nowhere near trillions.
Please don't deviate from the point.
Oh no, I'm not deviating.
You keep bringing up different stuff that ain't relevant to the conversation. What does it benefit us to send them hundreds of billions of dollars?
Anton, you can't throw out something and then when I clear up saying what you said was false.
You're more than welcome to come back and add the additional context.
I can't do it when you keep interrupting.
Usually when somebody answers you a question, you say yes and, or here's the additional context. You're not answering the question.
I can't
what is it? And you can answer it as whatever you want. You can say whatever you want to say. What does it benefit us to send hundreds of billions of dollars over to Ukraine?
To my understanding, it benefits us to put a battery in Ukraine's back, which then will prevent us from having to put boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground for what? Why would we put boots on the ground in Ukraine?
If Russia takes over Ukraine, they will infringe upon our NATO allies. And if they do that,
we would have to put boots on the ground. You're saying
they touch NATO, yes.
Boots on the ground.
If Russia touches NATO, yes, we would have to put boots on the ground.
Why would we have to put boots on the ground?
What would be the point of NATO if we didn't put boots on the ground? If
we're pulling out of NATO. What are you talking about?
We're pulling
out of NATO.
Yes. Well, are we out of NATO now?
We should be.
That's not what I asked you.
No, we're not.
Okay. So,
but Trump has only been in wait. But Trump has only
now
been
you're
in
moving the goalposts because
Trump has only been in the office for 40 days. 40 days.
Okay.
Let's be clear. This is new administration. We're barely a month out from January 20th in the inauguration. So please, let's not put that responsibility on this president that just came in.
Didn't do that. You're doing that. But this is the thing. What you just asked was, what's the point of preventive maintenance with something like this?
No, I said, what's the point of us sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine?
Right. To which I'm saying is, if we did not, and Russia just wiped through Ukraine, and then they were to infringe upon our NATO allies, then we have to respond with American lives.
Why isn't the rest of the world sending them money and taking care of them?
They are
being the number one benefactor. Because again, I look at this as I'm sending you money, and I'm taking you out, and I'm taking you to Benihana's and fucking J. Alexander's and Ocean Prime, and then you going home and you bringing the doggy bag to the nigga that's really fucking you. That's the way I look at it.
I think that's fair for you to look at it like that. I think it's an incorrect way to look at it, but I think it's
how would you look at it?
I look at it.
Let's break it down because I'm a C student.
I'm a D student.
I'm not the sharpest knife in the tool shed. So if you was to break it down and use it as like a metaphor or an equivalent to what real life is for us, I broke it down to being a dude that's paying for a chick's food and don't get no pussy at the end of the night. You break it down like what?
I think it would be the equivalent of seeing your check engine light on and thinking like, well, I could spend some money to get my car fixed now, or I can wait to see what happens. And if you wait to see, if you wait to see what happens, then you could end up having total engine failure, and it'll cost you a lot more money versus if you just went and got your check engine light looked at initially. That's how I would.
But again, the car is supposed to get me to and from and help me to make more money and go to work and all of this other type of stuff. So
if it's in good shape, correct.
Wait. I'm trying to figure out what the equivalent is because the car is supposed to be beneficial. Now, my interpretation of it is you got a lemon, all right? And you're paying high interest rates on this lemon that we finance, and we finance it for 72 months. And we still owe a lot of money to it because we are part of this organization that we're not benefiting from. and we continuing to fight this proxy war, and we paying somebody else's car note.
Yeah, it's fine for you to put your interpretation on it, but it's not a lemon. It is your car.
Ukraine not a lemon?
No, Ukraine's not a lemon. No. In your opinion, you may say that, but if
how does Ukraine benefit us? I'm still trying to understand it.
Okay, but that's not what you were asking. You asked for an analogy, and I gave you.
I did. We're sending. Listen, if I send somebody some money, I'm looking to get something back out of it. I'm trying to figure out, because see, don't just tell me.
I completely agree.
No, because there's a difference between we using each other, which means that it's beneficial for you and it's beneficial for me, but we both get something out of it. But don't just tell me I'm an ally just so you can take my money, because that's called being misused. It's a difference between being used and being misused. And so what I'm trying to understand is, what is the reciprocation? What do we benefit? Not how do I keep you from being, how do I keep you safe? I'm trying to figure out, because usually if I give you provision and protection, you got to bust it down for a real one at the end of the night.
Okay, got it. Wait, let me ask you this, and you tell me what you think here.
Right, Jess? No?
Anton,
okay, I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm trying to bring it down to a way in which I can relate.
I get you, but here, think about it like this, and I don't know if this is how it went down, but you tell me what you think here. If Biden was approached by his cabinet members and they say, "Hey, Mr. President, if we send we send a large portion of our expired munitions, old tanks, stuff that we're going to have to pay to blow up anyway, if we send all this old stuff that really isn't of any value to Ukraine, it is projected that it could save us from having to put American boots on the ground." Would that be something we should do?
No, what I think, absolutely not. Now, what I think really is the equivalent, what really happens, and this is just my theory because neither one of us can prove it.
Right.
I think what really happens is that we're a part of the military industrial complex. There's a lot of people on the liberal side that benefited from us going to war financially, and that it had nothing to do with us actually helping Ukraine. It's a proxy war, but it's also justification for how we can continue to enrich other people that we don't even know exist. Honestly.
I don't disagree.
I think that we got finessed, and this don't benefit us whatsoever. And I think that Trump is smart enough to understand that we need peace, because there's no reason for us to continue to send money for a war, a never-ending war. We don't want to just be in war perpetually for the rest of our lives.
Would you acknowledge that it's a possibility that if we did not step up, Russia could have wiped through Ukraine, and they could have continued to wipe through other countries, which would have then cost American lives?
No.
You don't think, if Russia touched a NATO country, what do you think we would have done?
Well, it depends on who was in office. First of all, no, because you're doing a lot of what ifs. One of the things that Trump said, and one of the reasons why J.D. Vance emphasizes this a lot of times, is he speak about diplomacy. And diplomacy is, and it's funny because the liberal media always tries to make Russia to be our enemy. And J.D. Vance correctly says that Russia is not our enemy, Russia is our adversary. Meaning that we don't have to be aligned and have the same goals, but it doesn't mean that we have to be enemies. You understand what I'm saying? And what I've seen during the Biden administration is no diplomacy whatsoever, not even a conversation with Russia to end the war or to better understand how we can prevent it in the first place. And one of the things that I truly believe in Trump, because we've seen it in his first administration, is that we didn't have any new wars. So when you use your analogy and say, well, boots on the ground, that wasn't a possibility until Biden got in office in the first place. So if you want to talk about preventative maintenance, or you want to talk about being proactive, then you'd have to acknowledge the fact that we had no new wars during Trump's administration.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen until Biden came into office, which I believe they incentivized it to happen, and they wanted it to happen.
But that's sort of like revisionist history. That's all sort of irrelevant, saying like, what if this?
It's not, because if you're using the analogies and saying, well, what if?
No, let's talk about what happened.
The point that I'm proving is that the what ifs can be, if you want to say what if, and if you want to keep talking about being proactive, then you got to go all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, we've been or Ukraine has been beefing with Russia since Obama was in office. That's the facts. No war had taken place during Trump's first term in office. And it wasn't until we had a vegetable in office that's probably being manipulated, and we don't know who was controlling him in the first place, is that we then seen Russia then invade Ukraine, in which we probably could have prevented that, because it is great to have great relationships, even if they just your adversary and not necessarily your enemy. I think it's a plus that Trump has a relationship and can pick up the phone and actually call Putin, because don't nobody want to be in a forever war for no reason. That is the real way to prevent American troops from being on the ground. And it's a real way for us to prevent us continuing to send money and resources over to Ukraine.
But what would have been the way to prevent American boots on the ground when Biden was in office?
Having Trump in office.
Okay, but now you just did the what if. Now you just did the what if, which was obviously.
No, you asked me a question.
Right, but you what if the question.
No, I didn't.
No, you did. Yes,
you said did. What would have been the way to prevent them from having boots on the ground and having Trump in office?
So you said what if? So basically saying what if Trump was in office. Okay.
So Trey, have you ever heard of the Warsaw Pact?
No, well, heard of it, but I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, so the Warsaw Pact was between George Bush Sr. and Gorbachev, and they had their own agreement in regards of U.S. being part of NATO and endorsing or soliciting other countries close to Russia. So if you read that and understood that, you probably would understand why certain things are happening, why Russia is doing certain things that caused them to invade Ukraine. But I don't understand why people don't look into those things. They more know about Kamala and their 6 months of running for president, but they don't know nothing about other American history. I just don't understand.
You're absolutely right, Ashley. People don't want to go back to the beginning.
I got one more question. One more question, and I yield. Yeah. And this is for Trey, because I know that he's a really smart guy. What's the benefits of us being in NATO?
The benefit, I presume, just for us to band against the other countries that could potentially fire on us, and we need to have allies, especially in the Middle East. Especially, I think that's one of the reasons.
You don't think the real benefit is one-sided from our quote-unquote allies, and it's not necessarily beneficial to the United States of America?
I think it's mutually beneficial. I think we have interest in a lot of different countries, and I think we have a lot of enemies in a lot of different countries. And I think that logistically, it makes sense for us to have allies in Europe, especially if things pop off. I think it just makes sense.
So
I respectfully disagree, but I accept your answer.
Fair.
So what about the German? What about the German and the French and the English? They don't have an army to help out Ukraine?
To my understanding, they do.
So
it's a European.
Why is that not exactly? It's a European issue. So why is the States or North America getting involved in it?
Because we have allies and we back up our.
Hey, I'm a veteran, and I'm telling you, the only position that we got over there is sitting in Poland right now. Nobody's trying to go over there and fight.
The only what is in Poland?
The main position that the U.S. is sitting in as far as an ally situation and proximity is in Poland. Like, of course, they got some other assets or whatever, but this is a European problem. And when you mentioned the Warsaw Pact, which was really good to bring up, Ashton, really, if you got to go history, Russia's just really responding to having their land taken, because all of that NATO land, those countries used to belong to the USSR. So, like during the Gorbachev and the tumbling of the East Berlin Wall and all of that stuff, that's what Russia's looking at. So imagine your land gets taken, just like the Native Americans, just like the Palestinians, just like any other person out there or any other ethnic group or country that has seen their land taken. That's how Russia's responding to this thing. That's why they invaded Crimea and they took over the active ports where they transport oil and stuff, because it's a logistics issue. It's money, it's tolls, it's ports, and they're trying to reset their economic footprint. And the other part is that's why they keep bringing up to them that you're not going to get the land back that you lost before 2014 when Crimea got invaded. Zelenskyy is not in a position to borrow weapons, arms, and military lethal aid to fight Russia to get his land back. So it's a lost cause. They've lost a long time ago strategically. And NATO is not NATO is for those countries that can't fight for themselves. It's not for us.
So to add to what Ashton said, the Warsaw Pact did advocate for Ukraine to join NATO. Like basically the United States accepted the fact that Ukraine wanted to join NATO, but that isn't even when Ukraine joined NATO. Ukraine has been with NATO for like less than 5 years. Additionally, they only wanted to join NATO. They only wanted to join NATO to save their ass because they had no other allies to help them. And
I think they're a peace partner. I don't even think they're fully part of NATO. I think they're like a peace partner.
They're not even there yet?
No, see, that's what I'm saying.
No, they're not. No, they're not fully part of NATO.
22, 23, but see, goes to show how much I know. But anyway, they were never a part of NATO, and their entire push for them to become a part of NATO is because they had no allies. At the end of the day, during the time of the USSR, there were a lot of Russians who lived in that area. And as we've seen historically, of course, when people occupy a land and they feel like this is their land, they're going to do whatever they can to take that land. And after they took the peninsula, in which the peninsula was voted on, and they all agreed to become a part of Russia, and they all agreed that they wanted to go ahead and occupy this land, take it, and claim it as their own. Then Ukraine realized they didn't have anybody to help them, fight with them, for them, any of those things. So they've been doing this push to join NATO, not because they are our allies, because they have no other allies. And then somehow Zelenskyy back in 2014, got in bed with a bunch of Biden and figured out a way to get all of this money outside of them being in NATO. And so now, for whatever reason, I guess he thought he was going to come back and bully Trump to do the same. Russia, honestly, is not necessarily the aggressor here, because Russia has been telling y'all since the 90s that these guys are not who they tell you that they are. There have been letters sent back and forth between presidents for the last 20 years in regards to what this conflict is now. This is not new. This is not anything that those people don't understand. Additionally, as somebody mentioned earlier, this is a European problem. There is a European Union, and therefore it should be on Europe to solve Europe's problems. We do fund 85% of NATO, and I hate to be the ones to tell y'all, but when we go to war, i.e. back in 2001, when we declared, a war on terror, nobody came to help us. Nobody sent their troops to the United States to ensure that terrorists weren't invading our country. Nobody came to us and sent us beans and rice and billions of dollars so that we could do what we need to do. No other country, even the countries in NATO, weren't sending us weapons, troops, or aid in order to fight our wars. Yet for whatever reason, here we are arguing for the United States to remain in NATO and fight everybody else's war. And yes, as somebody else mentioned earlier, it will only result in loss of life for American citizens if we keep getting involved in everybody else's issues, especially when everybody else isn't involved in our issues. As we saw in the great debate earlier about racism, you don't see any other country sending white people over to defend Black people. Therefore, there's really no reason for us to be doing all of these things, worried about people overseas, when literally our people here are suffering like crazy. That is something that they have been doing since the 90s. This is something that is in their house. And as all of us, we a whole bunch of, that ain't got nothing to do with me. At the end of the day, a Ukrainian ain't never did nothing to me. A Russian ain't never did nothing to me. So whatever dispute they have between each other has nothing to do with any of us. So Zelenskyy coming over here thinking that he's going to bully the current administration the same way he did the last administration, into giving him all this money for a war that honestly seems like a proxy, considering that in the midst of it all, when all the bombings were happening and everything was so bad, their president was on the cover of Vogue. And in the midst of things where they needed so much aid and they needed all of these things, he was buying his wife all these expensive gifts, a Cartier bracelet that cost over $1 million. He bought her a McLaren that cost nearly $1 million. That's our tax dollars paying for the luxury lifestyle of a president who's posing that his country is in so much need. And yet the Russians have been telling us for forever that these guys don't need anything but to mind their own business.
Michaela, do you support Trump wanting to buy Palestine?
Again, since the end of time, people who occupy a land feel like they have, jurisdiction over said land, and they will fight for ownership of said land. So I don't think Trump ever said he was going to buy Palestine. He was simply going to buy the Gaza Strip, which is completely different. And he didn't say he was going to buy it. He just said that we were going to manage it, oversee it, and that we were going to be the ones to help fund the reconstruction of it. And I mean, considering, even though there are jokes that are coming out, considering the redevelopment plans that he has for it, for all we know, whatever they're going to write out or whatever plan they have for the Gaza Strip could actually benefit Americans, because I highly doubt we're going to build over there and not receive any percentages of the profits from whatever it is that we do develop.
Okay,
if it
so to
requires
be
our
clear,
money,
you just hold on, Victor. I'm just to be clear about Michaela's position. So you say we should be isolationist, but it's okay to spend money when Trump says it is for the Gaza Strip.
I never said that we should be isolationists. Nothing about us helping redevelop a country that's already war-torn and has been war-torn for years is us getting involved in the actual war. We're not sending troops over there to fight to keep them out of Gaza. We're literally sending developers and builders over there to help rebuild Gaza.
So you're fine with tax dollars.
Hold on. Again, that's an American investment. That's not necessarily us giving aid.
Well, an American investment would be like we would be looking for like a return on that investment. So you would be fine with spending tax dollars on that, but not elsewhere.
If the money generated from whatever it is that we build over there actually genuinely helps Americans, which, I mean, again, we haven't seen the plans for it. We can only make assumptions as to what they're planning on doing over there. But yes, we have investments everywhere. We have investments in Africa. We have investments in China. We have investments in Australia. We have investments in Russia. We have investments literally everywhere. So if you can be okay with us investing all of this money the past 4 years in Ukraine, and we can invest all of our time and resources and weapons into helping them with their personal dispute with another country, then why in the world could we not invest in something that's going to give us a return, like we have done in multiple other countries since we became a country? Like,
you cooking.
We literally have investments everywhere. So I think that's a pretty redundant question to believe that we should only invest in America. Like, there's innovation everywhere. There's resources that aren't available in America that are available in other places. So we're going to have foreign investment. That's literally what helps make us a capitalist society.
No, I agree. I just would have thought that by the way you're speaking, sort of like, hey, we should mind our own business in other countries. I would think that you would have said the same thing about that.
If it's not returning a profit and not benefiting Americans, then yes,
you should.
With us. But if we're building, innovating, and investing something that's going to give us a return that will in turn help the American people, that will help with whatever engineering and development we have going on over here, then absolutely we have every right to go ahead and work with other countries to create a better world. But why should we be worried about other countries who are destroying their world? That's what I don't agree with.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I mean, when you got to get return on investment. Like, how long are you going to keep putting money out and not getting a return on your investment? You know, like, it has to have some sort of leverage, you know, at least in the Gaza Strip and Israel, which is already obviously partnered, you know, with Western ideology. There's a chance at building a bypass canal, you know what I'm saying, that's going to direct and orient trade in that region at some point. There's been plenty of plans and discussions about that. The strategic territory that Ukraine is more valuable to Europe than it is the United States, because the Soviet Union has all of the gas and oil pipelines that pipe right into Europe. So it's really Europe's investment is in their best interest to get involved in what's going on over there, because like I said, Russia took over the Crimea and all of its water ports and stuff back in 2014. Now they're going to have free access, and they just discovered a large gas deposit in that same area too. So Ukraine's out on its own, and you have to really like look at it. It's like, can you go help them win? And what does winning look like? And how long does it take to get it back? You got Ukraine's offering not emerald mines, but I think mineral mines to some degree, or mineral rights. But Russia's offering that too. So what does Ukraine have to offer that Russia can't offer in a strategic partnership? What's the benefit? Bottom line is, and how much is it going to cost to get the benefit out of it?
Do you think
with regard to the mineral rights, that's a very, very,
it's
very
a long play.
Man, it's a long-term investment. We don't get anything from it in the immediate near-term future at all whatsoever. So that's almost like a consolation prize.
Yep. It's like a student loan.
I don't want to do any more comparisons, but that's like a consolation prize because they don't have anything else to offer us. And I'm not sure that if we had another Democrat in office and as a president of the United States of America, that we would even be getting anything whatsoever.
You know, I hear a lot of people, they complain about the education system. And, you know, for $350 billion, even if you took 40% of that and put it back into the education system, would go a long way. It's money better spent. So
my biggest thing is we again, we broke here. We broke here in the United States of America.
It doesn't seem like it.
And between $1 and $2 trillion in interest every year on the money that on the deficit, on the money that's in the deficit. So,
Anton, if we didn't spend a dime in Ukraine, how different do you think our day-to-day lives would be?
I don't think it's just Ukraine. I just think it's a mindset that we are spending money that we don't have in general.
I agree. I agree.
That's like, I mean, but that's like saying, that's like a woman saying, listen, I'm already in debt. I might as well just keep on shopping. Like, that don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, it sounds logical to the woman, but to the guy that's married to her, that don't make sense. What do you mean? How? I can think of a million different things that we could have used the money more effectively for. And more importantly, it's our money. It's taxpayer money.
No, but I'm asking how,
We just
something
winging it.
tangible. What do you think we would see different in our day-to-day life if we didn't spend a dime in Ukraine?
Do you think they would have poured it back into our community?
Yes, but that's one of the reasons why we're doing an audit and why you have the Department of Government Efficiency to find out exactly where all of our money is going. Because I think that when you start to break it down, you could say, well, it's just Ukraine. But I think that when you see $1 billion here, $1 billionaire, $4 billionaire, $27 million a month and that you're spending on buildings in this particular city that's not even 15% occupied, it all adds up. It all adds up. And at the end of it in 2026 on July 4th, we'll see exactly where all of the money is and how much we're saving. Because I think that you have a whole lot of situations that's similar to Ukraine. May not be as visible as far as us going to war or anything, but I think that we are wasting money and we wasting taxpayer money on a lot of different things. And that's what we're going to figure out when we get down to this government audit. So, listen, I make a lot of money. But if you steal $1,000 from me, that's my $1,000. It may not change my life at all. It may not even affect me. If I didn't even find out that you stole it, I might not even have noticed that it was gone. But it's mine, and I want it back with interest.
Exactly.
It's my money. You're not gonna take my money, bro.
And what are we arguing? And what are we arguing for by saying, hey, we shouldn't pull back our taxpayer dollars from supporting Ukraine? So what are we actually supporting it?
What do you mean? What are we supporting?
Okay, so you asked what would change in your everyday life if
I'm curious. Yeah, what do you guys think?
Okay, so I think we kind of talked about that because we're still talking about what if scenarios and hypotheticals, right? What does it look like if we continue our taxpayer dollar support to Ukraine, in your opinion? Like, what do you think it goes?
I'm sort of a belief if we didn't spend a dime in Ukraine, our day-to-day life would be the same as it is today. If we doubled our spending in Ukraine over the next 2 years, I think everything still looks the same.
So therefore, there's a net negative then, right? So that means we just need to take our money back if nothing changes.
So you're
potentially, but the
problem with Trey's argument, or the problem with what Trey is saying, I'm not even gonna say argument. The problem with what Trey is saying is that he's not justifying spending money over there. He's justifying it by saying that we our day-to-day lives are not going to be affected by it.
Right. I don't think that the negative ramification of us spending money over there is egg prices.
No. You're still spending it. Why should we give anybody anything extra, regardless of whether or not it's going to affect me?
Again, I'm of a belief that if we did not help in Ukraine, then it could have resulted in American lives.
And everybody that you pass by on the street that asks you for money, homeless, whatever, do you give it to them?
Sometimes, depending.
I said everybody.
Oh, do everybody? No, I do not.
Why not? It's not going to affect your day-to-day life.
If I could selectively know if I could give somebody money and it would prevent them from robbing somebody and hurting them, I would give them.
No. But
That's what it's like
affect
giving money
you.
to Ukraine.
But it's not affecting your day-to-day life. You may not be able to go and get McDonald's today, but it's not going to affect your day-to-day life, though.
If I gave money to everybody, it would affect my day-to-day life.
Everybody that asks you.
Right. That would affect my day-to-day
How
life.
many people ask you a day?
Enough that it would affect my day-to-day life.
You get that many people asking you for money every day.
Where you be
Yes.
at?
I'm in California. Yes, it would affect my
There you
day-to-day
go.
life.
There it is right there.
Yes, it would affect my day-to-day
Shout
life.
out to you.
Yeah.
You're in California. Yeah, that's a shithole.
Yeah. Whoa. We're a top 5 economy in the world, buddy.
Yeah, but you operating at a federal
No.
at a deficit. No. You operating at a deficit. Your state is operating at a deficit.
India's number 5, but
No. Stop. You're operating at a deficit. Gavin Newsom is operating literally your state budget. You're under duress. You're operating at a deficit.
Yeah, probably.
Go and look it up.
No,
you ain't got it. You don't even have to guess. You could just go and look it up yourself.
No, I will. Let me see.
California is
homeless people,
operating
they gotta
just like America in terms of foreign policy, at a deficit, trying to, and still got people outside homeless, and still spending money that they don't have, and trying to raise the cost of living on the people that actually pay taxes, and that's why you have all these nuanced fees, and that's why it was a huge migration of people moving out of California and coming to Texas, where I live.
It's so funny. It's so funny when people say to me stuff like, "Oh, we're a top 5 economy," or this and that. No, listen, that just means what you gross. When people come to me with coaching calls, a lot of times they say, "Anton, I made $1 million last year." I say, "Oh yeah." I said, "That's what you gross, right?" They say, "Yeah." I said, "How much you keep?" Well,
$2.
We're underwater. Really, I was only able to keep $40,000. That means your expenses is out of control. And so you may generate a lot of revenue because you guys have the highest taxes in the United States of America besides New York City. But it doesn't mean that it's conducive for the people that live there, and the environment and affordability is absolute trash. And you're operating at a deficit, which means that you got to start cutting services to other things, or you have to raise taxes even more.
Is
So
there
you
any
can
state
use
that
that
doesn't
narrative
operate
and
in
say that
deficit?
I'm sorry?
Is there any state that doesn't operate in a deficit?
Yeah, the state of Washington, they got a 19.
No. Hold on. Don't even answer that question. Because Trey, I noticed something now about you. Instead of staying on subject, you like to move the goalposts to try to justify why California is operating at a deficit, and it shouldn't be.
No, I think it's a moot point if every other state operates at a deficit as well.
No. Every other state doesn't operate at a deficit.
And which
so
one
might as well throw that argument out the window.
Well, then which one
and
doesn't?
You tried to justify your
So answer
argument
your
by
point.
saying
Which
that
one doesn't?
you tried to justify your argument by saying that California was a top five revenue generator in the world. And it
Which
made
it's
no
not.
sense. It made no sense because y'all losing money.
To my quick Google, Vermont's the only state that doesn't operate at a deficit.
Listen. You're still trying to move the goalposts.
I'm not moving the goalposts.
You're
I'm just saying that your
losing
point is
money.
irrelevant
You're
if every
losing
other
money.
state operates at a deficit.
You're still trying to change the subject, aren't you?
I'm not changing the subject. I'm addressing
You
your
are.
point.
You're defending something that we never asked that you brought up. You brought up that California, and we didn't even have to go down this path. All you had to say is everybody is homeless in California. That's why they keep asking you for money. That's the whole reason why we got on this subject in the first place. I said, how many people ask you for money every day? You said, I live in California. I mean, everybody fucking poor. Y'all got the highest homeless population in the entire country. You're operating at a deficit. Your governor is a piece of shit.
Okay.
The Oakland, California is one step away from filing for bankruptcy itself. They even shut down their airport. They're about to shut down their airport, and they shut down all of the hotels that's around it. Come on, man. Like, stop. Like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to go down this path.
You brought up the deficit, right?
Because you said that you lived in California and all of these
Correct.
homeless people.
Correct.
And you said that you were a top 5 economy, and that's why I brought up the deficit.
Okay. Correct. But does that change anything if every other state is operating in a deficit as well?
No, every other state is not operating in a deficit.
Okay. To my quick Google, it says just Vermont. But
what exactly? What source did Google cite when they gave you that information?
I'd have to look. It was a quick Google. I think it's from Pew.
Okay. Q, we can move on.
We're going to move on from the politic talk, y'all. But let's get to the super chats real quickly. Oh, shoot. I messed up. When do we stop being Black and start being Americans? Jazz is in the house. Get Miss Michaela and clear your mind day schedule. We need to hear you every week. She about to rage quit. Jazz, your mic is trash, like your takes. Shout out to Ryan, boss. That was a hell of an icebreaker. Yes, Jerry. Better be glad I'm not a Trump protection detail. Zelenskyy would have been thrown through the window onto the front lawn. Zelenskyy was talking 40 minutes before this. Ashton laughed her ass off over the Jazz needs wood comment. FYI, I did too. Jazz, you should research Thomas Sowell. You need it. Jazz, keep it up and stand on the truth. Stay Black and be beautiful. Ready for Stock Club Wednesday, bag chasers versus everybody. Ignore the haters, Jazz. You talk your truth. 62% of Americans side with Ukraine, not a Democrat or Republican thing. Ukraine's militia is literally an Aryan and Nazi militia. Leave Jazz alone, grr. You didn't watch the whole thing. Zelenskyy talked a lot until he got disrespectful with JD. Yes, they're literally forcible, holding back mothers and snatching up their sons, making them fight. USA Today says Trump plus all of the aid to Ukraine. An article as of 37 minutes ago. Zelenskyy isn't a good leader. The Ukrainian men are trying to escape to Romania to avoid the war, but the Ukrainian government won't let them. When I saw Zelenskyy meet with the Prime Minister of UK right after Trump and then said they didn't give him enough money, I was like, wow, we're broke. I'm done with Ukraine, aka the Nazis. I'm just going to listen now. Fired up. Michelin star to Chef Michaela cooking with fish grease. I'm about to go grab some codfish right now while the grease sizzling. Keep cooking, queen. Ukraine being occupied by Russia doesn't impact the USA at all. Ukraine is at our ally. They're selling our weapons to cartels. They're corrupt. I'm not siding with Putin, but I can see his concern. Go look at Russia's western border and the number of NATO countries next to it. America's scared Russia and China military will grow. Peace, no Vietnam. It says U.S. is give $17 billion in aid to Ukraine in 2023. $262 million was military and the rest was economic aid. We love you, Michaela. Come back. Trey, you can take your zesty self and enlist in the Ukraine army to fight for them since you care so much. Trade the Black Lives Matter sweater for an M4. Q and everyone having questions and everyone having an opinion. Did you watch the entire 50 minutes press briefing? Please, so many people speak on vital topics. Based off the 30-second clip that is taken out of context, please be informed, fully, respectful. Yeah, I didn't know it was 50 minutes. Sorry, y'all. Not trying to make it about race, but YouTube Ukrainians refuse to allow Black migrant on train to evacuate their country and rank 9th most corrupted. Trey, the U.S. has paid $21.9 trillion to NATO's budget over 75 years. Also, how is Russia losing to Ukraine, but also a threat to NATO? Ignorant. Trey, there's no single person in the chat that doubted you was a D student. Just speaking that ish. Anton, you are right. We have depleted military reserves that we will have to pay private contracting to replace. Easy payout to the friends with a down the road kickback. $6.4 billion to Ukraine so far in 2024. Jazz kind of has a point. And neuroscientists did a study on the Holocaust and found an epidemic PTSD linked to their descendants that lives now. Russia don't want the whole Ukraine. They wanted the eastern border. That's where they stopped at, and Ukraine that feels some way, so they keep fighting. Trey voided and looks up to Kamala. He's soft and sassy, speaking no fact at all. Pro-blacks care so much about these whites in Ukraine. Ukraine worse than BLM. They got all the money and can't account for it. People only siding with Ukraine because they don't like Trump. The Budapest Memorandum in the 90s was the catalyst for all this. Russia invaded Crimea in 2014 under Obama watch. He invaded under Biden. Corruption to Ukraine prevented them from joining NATO. Jazz looks fine. What motivates us to back a nation that isn't even part of NATO? What about Russia wanting to join NATO and Clinton and Obama stopped it? Ukraine didn't even want to be part of NATO until they got into it with Russia. They aren't a U.S. ally, and we're not getting into a nuclear war for them. Oh, snap. Michelin's on. Black female superstar alert. Ukraine is the buffer between NATO, Poland, and Russia. We will not put boots on the ground, but Putin has been serious about U.S. military assets in Ukraine. Any U.S. products in Ukraine is World War III. Israel sent our munitions to Ukraine. We are restocking Israel. This is the first in our situation. 2014 started this war, and the President Eisenhower warned of the exact same thing. I got 500 in Michaela versus any Dem in Congress. Victor is all wrong. Ukraine was a republic of the old USSR. And after it collapsed in the 90s, it became its own sovereign country, along with other Republicans. Ukrainians and Russians hate each other. It's like tribes at war. Jazz wanted to teach us all history. What does she think about Ukraine? Or does she only know about teaching fake racism and victimhood in the USA? USA's welfare system worldwide. Some of these NATO countries have not updated their military, men/women, because we fly to the rescue. Okay. Shout out to Quentin. There are some pretty good 20th century examples as to how land wars in Europe, left unchecked, eventually became the US problem. Far better for us to be spending billions to help someone fight for us than trillions while doing the actual fighting. Why am I just realizing Michaela is the Chick-fil-A lady? She on here serving fries and dropping nuggets right now. Great gems. Anton, Uncle Sugar has been spending money and busting countries down for years. Trey want to start World War III so he can hide in the closet. The entire panel should be banned from discussing international relations. The U.S. installed Petro Poroshenko as president in 2014, so Russia annexed Crimea to counter NATO via U.S. support. I'm digging Miss Montgomery. Holla at me. Just for the smile, baby girl. Government spending causes inflation. Trey, this spending mentality is why the Biden can only afford to give disaster survivors a one-time payment of $700. Cap, I live in LA. It's a ish hole. Trey. FYI, Biden and Harris are the cause of the war when they tried to expand NATO dominance. It's forced Putin hand. 350 billion is 1,000 per every citizen in the U.S. Trey should have not been on public panel with nothing but a light breeze for a brain. President Trump has secured over $1.5 trillion in investments in less than 3 months into his presidency. This Ukraine crap is a big distraction. Texas, New Jersey, and Connecticut are examples of states not operating at a deficit. And shout out to you, Kalmakazi, peace to the panel. Shout out to you. Eggs here in California, $13. They doesn't really. Apple equals 500 billion. Japan equals 1 trillion. Taiwan chip maker equals 100 billion. Zelenskyy called your VPA B. A Trey is using 2020 stats for only 9 states in deficit. Q, you're reading these super chats like Ebonics will peeve, just like your daddy. Livs get all the info from the 30-second clip. Shout out to everybody. We appreciate y'all. The chatters, the haters, the lovers. Ashton, you're muted, so we can't hear you.
I have something to say about that super chat with reference to Jess needing more wood. The only reason why I was laughing, Jess, I had a flashback from last year when I was watching the panel and your boyfriend or man or husband walked into the kitchen and you're like, ah.
Who's
and then
that?
Anton said, oh shit, that's the man who's drinking the milk.
Oh, you said Jazz or Jess?
Yeah, Jazz, yeah. The super chat that made reference to Jazz needing more wood.
What does needing more wood mean?
Never mind. Let's move along.
Oh, geez.
Let's get to the next topic. Red pill. This is for all you red pill men in the comments. We see you. It's a lot of y'all in the chat. Here y'all go.
What is going on with the way men are talking to women these days?
Oh, it's the red pill content, and it's now so officially widespread and unavoidable that whilst it was originally aimed at people in like their 20s and high school, middle school years, it's reached people in their 30s and 40s, and I want to talk about it today because I've started to notice it too. Although in fairness, it really started to pick up and gain traction around like 10 years ago, so males in their 20s are now in their 30s and approaching their 40s, and this is how you ruin entire generations and spans of males and dating for everyone. And if you're not familiar with red pill content, it's a lot of things now, but originally started started as like male, like gym bro influencers trying to like teach beta males how to get women, but they would teach them all the wrong things so that they never actually got women, and they would be continually reliant on their channels. But a huge problem with that, besides the fact that men are literally just keeping each other down, is that women also have to deal with the outcomes of this, because it's teaching them to treat women like garbage, and apparently that's how you get girls, which obviously never works. And it became so prevalent that I literally gave up on dating a few years ago because it was so irritating to deal with such horrible little men.
Okay. Do you guys think that red pill men are ruining relationships of today? Nikki, Angel?
No, I do not.
You don't think these men that are on these podcasts, having a mic, saying what they're saying, preaching what they're preaching, what is that? The Tonight's Conversation guy. We have other podcasters. You don't think that's kind of brainwashing some of these men at times?
Give me an example of give me one example of what you think may be a little bit extreme.
No, it's not extreme. It's just their talking points. It's some of their talking points. Oh, go ahead.
So for me, I just think that man has gotten, it's just a little soft right now. I think that, and this is going to be probably a little confrontational, but I really just think that women have ruined our communities. I also think that is a product of us being single and dealing with the stuff we're dealing with, single motherhood. And it's a product of our society. We raising emotional men. They don't have anyone else to look up to. And I think that we have a voice, and people have been listening to us for decades say the things we do, denigrate men. And I just feel like it's okay for men to have a space.
I do think, though, that some of the rhetoric that they spew, I think, is definitely a detriment. So, for an example, to give you an example, maybe what Q would be talking about is, oh, to get a woman, you must ignore her or ignore that B, or, you know what I mean? Don't, if she's going on a date with you, don't spend no money on her or give her X, Y, and Z test, right? So I don't necessarily think red pill, I guess,
Wait. What part of that don't work?
When I think that's what I'm saying. I don't think that we as women realize how far we have pushed men to just have a voice. You get what I'm saying? I think that it's gotten to the point where they're just like, okay, now some of that is, I mean, some of it's right. I'm not going to.
It's women's fault. The men ain't men.
I won't say with a bit more context, depending on that situational, but for the most part, just from what I'm seeing, if we're talking about overall, I say it's everybody's fault. First of all, I want everybody to take accountability for the BS. That's what I want. But that's not going to happen because I think that we have been empowered to and emboldened for so long to just operate out of our emotions, and the men been kind of just like happy wife, happy life, you know, and that's just not cool because sometimes we can be a bit irrational. So I don't think that men should cower down. I think they should stand up. I even think that, for me, it would be beautiful if we can go back to the old days where men would no way possible let these gangs take over our streets. It just wouldn't happen because they would get out there and they wouldn't be dependent on, well, where's the white man and he gave it to us. You ain't selling dope on this street.
No. I said guys have wised up, Angel.
Yeah, they're not doing it.
I think the red pill community.
Hold on. Go ahead, Angel.
I can say this. With a lot that I see, especially with me being as young as I am, and experiencing
how old are you?
Talk to different men and stuff like that. It's like,
how old are you, Angel?
24. I feel like women have done a lot to men, and I feel like men are now trying to take back their worth by I've recently just learned about this red pill dude. So from the ones that I have heard was they don't spend money on a girl, don't
text her back as fast, stuff like that. And I feel like it's a way to not be in a way, it's a way not to be the woman's like on call person, you know, because as women, I feel like I don't know how to explain this. Like as women, we like so quick to, I don't know, like want them to do this and that, and like for them not to text you back as fast, or for them not to buy you something first just to see what you're gonna do or how you're gonna present yourself to them is another reason why they're like taking a stand on doing something about, you know, like just living in the like masculine areas and things like that.
Like about me, the Birkin culture.
If it wasn't a market, like if everybody was satisfied and all guys was being successful and all of that, then y'all saying it wouldn't even exist, right? Because think about it. You can't create a market for something where people have no interest in. All right, let's go back. Do you realize that every single song in the 90s was the opposite? It was dudes begging, baby, please.
Yeah. Like
please don't go. Whatever it takes.
Back to the 70s.
Amen.
Yeah, they've been begging forever.
They've been begging since the 60s.
As they should.
I mean, so no, they shouldn't.
No, the hell. Shit.
Think about it. The guy that begged y'all is not the guy that y'all want.
He the one going, man.
I mean, that's not necessarily true. I feel like too, even out with the songs now, I feel like it's to kind of placate the male ego a little bit. And I will say this: it's easy to say red pill conversations are X, Y, and Z, right? Until we have to hold men accountable. For an example, we can even bring up Kevin Samuels, right? His original content focused on having men become better men, right? But then he kind of switched his rhetoric a little bit to have his conversations have more red pill philosophy to it.
You're wrong.
Yeah. You said I'm wrong?
Yeah.
100%.
Women got in his business.
Kevin. I was gonna say women was calling him.
Yeah, they called him.
Hold on.
But
The fact of the matter is this.
The
fact of the matter is this. Kevin was harder on men than he was on women.
As he should. He's a man. He can tell men how to do it.
But you're missing it. All red pill is it tells you the truth of what the nature is that you're facing. It's not to tell you you may have a bad actor that labels themselves red pill and gives a bunch of bad advice or say, hey, this is how you go fuck hoes or all of this other type of stuff. That does not automatically mean that that's what red pill represents. And it's gotten a bad name because of the different actors that then take it and manipulate it into being something completely different. All red pill is to tell, red pill can be applicable to anything. It's not just to women. It's not just to relationships. It could be money. All it does is it removes the veil from your eyes to show you what the truth is. So I'll give you an example. I'll give you a couple of different examples. The truth is, for example, is that if you get married without a prenup, but you get married to somebody that wasn't originally shooting in the gym with you, then it's a strong possibility that the family court laws that is set up at a time where women didn't have the options that they have today could put you at a disadvantage and have her take half of your shit when she wasn't with you shooting at the gym. That's just the truth. That's not something that they made up. The truth also is that women advocate against updating family court laws while advocating for the freedom to do what they want to do, while at the same time saying we deserve just as much pay as men because we work just as hard. So why wouldn't you update family court laws that were created at a time that wasn't beneficial? You know, it was beneficial to women because women didn't have the same rights that they have today. The truth is that women advocate against it.
Anton, what laws need to be updated?
Give me a second. Give me a second. On the flip side, you can say economically, you know, the truth is you can't spend your way to wealth. You know what I'm saying? On a very basic level, we always say, oh, generational wealth. It's a bunch of bullshit. If you break down the true cost of home ownership, it's not necessarily beneficial for everybody because we don't take into account the true cost of maintenance, property taxes, escrow, and that's why you see a lot of people on the internet right now saying, oh my God, my mortgage jumped from $3,500 to $5,400 a month, because they didn't take into account all of the additional costs. And you can say, oh, okay, well, generational wealth is making sure that we own a home forever. But in reality, you're not taking into consideration the true cost of when your property increases in value, you don't get that realized value because you didn't sell the house yet. And you're getting this 30-year mortgage in which the first 10 to 15 years, you're only paying interest. So you're dependent on the value of the house to raise. But then at the same time, you're paying more maintenance and you're paying more property taxes, which it creates a net negative sometimes depending on where you actually buy that property at. So the truth is that it's not just a term that we can apply to it to say, hey, everybody buy a home, because it's not conducive for your lifestyle depending on where you buy it, how you buy it, what your property taxes are, and how much it skyrockets. You see everybody in DC, a lot of them are going into the negative because the federal workers is getting laid off, and now people can't even sell their home because it's flooded. You go over to Florida, you see everybody having a problem selling their home because everybody trying to get out of it. And these condos is you know what I'm saying, they getting high HOA fees. Like, we don't add all of that in there. And so basically all Red Pill is to break down the truth and to remove the veil from the talking points so that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. If a dude decides that he still want to get into a relationship even after having the information, cool. It doesn't mean that men are angry towards women. The problem is that women don't like the fact that men are becoming more educated about what they got to deal with.
And so what Red Pill meetings, talk about all that?
I don't know any meetings.
Or conversations, because any real pill rhetoric I've ever heard do not touch on none of that.
But that's because you're not in the spaces to actually listen to it. If you act, I'll even listen, and I hate to do this. Because I don't even rock with Fresh and Fit. But the truth of the matter is, if I'm being 100% objective, is that most people pay attention to their late night show where they kicking women out. But a lot of their content is focused on making sure that the guys get their education when it comes to finances and cryptocurrency. They do a lot of shows on real estate, finances, cryptocurrency, credit, all of that stuff. But they don't get, and again, I'm not a fan of them or anything like that, but I have to be objective enough to say that they do the majority of their content on educating guys on fitness, making sure that you get healthy, getting your finances right. They do that stuff. That is a part of Red Pill content. It's not all about women. That's just the part that's popularized.
That's what they also push because they know they can get paid by being cruel to women on their show. Like, granted, yeah, there are different levels. And they do have content where they allegedly tell men about, getting fit and getting money, but that's not what their real focus is, because that's not what's driving their revenue. Well, in fact, they've been demonetized from almost every platform, but when they were still monetized, the most of their monetization came from the crazy interactions between them and women in their studio. It wasn't because they were going viral for telling men to invest in whatever, and 100 men did so, and they all became millionaires. That never happened. They only go viral from pulling up bullhorns and calling women bitches and throwing them out and telling them that they're the reason that they got raped. I've literally heard them say, "Oh, well, you got to kind of consider you chose him. If you got violated,
You're missing the point.
Pardon?
You're missing the point.
I'm not missing the point. I wasn't even done making my point. If you'll let me finish. So what I was saying was that like what Jess was saying, the overall consensus of Red Pill is not to prop men up and make them better. That might be a sub part of it, but the majority of it is we're men, they're women, we are better than them, women are the enemy, they're against you, they want to use you, they're no good. They have this negative mindset and idea about women and companionship, and I think that they talk more so to men who never really knew who they were as men and never really had positive interactions with women. And so now those men are bitter and upset because they're kind of lame and they don't really know how to engage with women just off of their personality. So they look at people like Fresh and Fit or these other hardcore red pillars that say, you need the money, you need the access, and that's how you get the bitches. And it's
That's
like,
not
no,
what they say, and that's not
you're
wrong.
talking to. That's what
That's
they
not
say.
what they
No, that's
say.
literally what they be saying. And it's like,
It's
yeah,
not.
you might get a certain type of woman with that. You might
It's
attract
not
a certain
true.
type of female with that. But for me, when I hear a lot of this red pill shit, it don't sound like any type of man that I would ever want my daughter to date.
What
Because
percentage
they don't sound like they don't even sound like they
That's
genuinely
not. Hold on,
like
hold on,
women.
hold on.
They don't even sound like they like women.
Before you
They
go,
just
bro.
want
She's
women to
wrong.
know. They like they feel proud because they have a platform to say, I'm a man, I got money, and I can tell you to your face that I only want you around just to fuck you. And if you don't like it, then fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like they've been thrown a bone, and now they're carrying it around and thinking that being mean and cruel and nasty towards women is what gets them women.
What are you
Which
talking
is
about?
like very stupid to me. It's very stupid to me.
Listen, I'm not speaking on him. I use him as one example to illustrate a point about the fact. First of all, y'all wrong again, and it just shows you how
everybody has an opinion. Everybody's opinion is not wrong. Just
Wait, Jazz, you gotta let him finish.
You're 100% wrong.
You wrong
and
on
just
a lot
because
of
it's
stuff.
your opinion, don't mean it is right.
Exactly.
You're wrong.
But no,
You're wrong. The fact of the matter.
you can't tell me my opinion is
Do
wrong.
you even know
sir.
where red pill come from?
You can't tell me my opinion is wrong.
Do you know where red pill comes from?
It doesn't matter. You can't tell nobody
It
their
does
opinion
matter.
is wrong.
Oh, so the plight of
you try to
African
tell your opinions
Americans.
as facts.
No.
And
The
they're not.
history and the plight of African Americans, that matters when we're talking about what's going on with Black people in 2025.
We're not talking about them
But
no
the
more.
inception of where red
Let's
pill
talk about
comes
people
from,
you don't like.
the inception of where red pill comes from, that doesn't matter. So history only matters when it's applicable to your point. It doesn't matter when it's applicable to everybody else. Actually, where it comes here, I'll educate you a little bit so that you can get some insight. You and Jess. Where it comes from is the movie The Matrix. And what happens in The Matrix is they offer him the blue pill so that he can go into La La Land and still pretend like everything is normal, and they're basically being programmed to think a certain type of way. Or you can take a red pill and see the ugly truth of what the world really is. For example, men don't get love. There is no safety nets for us. If we fail, then we just fail. If we don't pay our child support, we go to jail. If we get homeless, then nobody gives a fuck about us. There is no safety net for men. There is nothing that is coming to save us. So what red pill, for example, says is, listen, you got to make sure that you take care of yourself, focus on yourself, focus on getting to the money, focus on being successful. Everything else comes with it. The women comes with it. This comes with it. This comes with it. And then you have the option to choose, and you increase your options, or you can decide that you don't want to participate in the first place. Whatever you decide to do is up to you. But all red pill is, and y'all got to stop boxing everybody else into the same box. All red pill is telling you the truth of what's going on in the world. That's it. Nothing more. If somebody decide that he want to call a chick a bitch, then that's him. That don't have nothing to do with red pill. If a dude decide that he want to go and get married and give all of his money to his woman, that's him, as long as he knew the truth before he does it. All red pill is showing you what the truth is before you jump into it and put yourself in a situation. And then you can't say that I didn't know better before I did it. That's all it is.
So if that's the case, Anton, how you explained it, would you consider, because you saying that, I wouldn't consider fit fresh that then. How you explained it, I wouldn't see them falling under that category.
Some people are radicalized.
You gave a positive outlook of what red pill is, and they're definitely
positive.
Yeah, but what fresh and fit or not, I feel like they're a fake bunch
Again, the individual actors and how they use the information has nothing to do with whether or not the information is relevant. You can take anything that's good and make it bad. You can take anything that's bad and make it good. Like, you can take something, you can listen, the internet itself was not meant for what we using it for today. Some people take it and they do unscrupulous things, and they do some really bad things on it. Other people take it and they use it for something that's good, or they use it to communicate or do more work more efficiently. You can take the tool and make it to be what you want it to be, but the fact of the matter is, it's just showing you the tool. It's just showing you the truth. That's it. Now y'all want to take different people and try to label it because y'all mad at the fact that guys ain't operating the way that y'all want them to operate anymore. That's on you. I'm gonna say the same thing that the women say. Who hurt you?
Yeah, I just
Who
when
hurt
I
you?
hear a lot of the red pill talking points, it just doesn't seem like it's advocating for men and women to come together in a positive way. It's always about keeping women under your thumb and looking at a woman instead of like a companion or somebody that can actually add value to your life as like somebody to use and they're an enemy towards you.
Because the fact of the matter is there's a lot of women that don't add value to your life. They looking
Okay,
to
but there's
destroy you.
also a lot of women that do. So my thing is, if we know that there are a lot of women that aren't like that, why is the obsession with talking about the women that are toxic and are negative?
Because
If you
in
are
our
a grown
culture
man,
today,
if you are a
there's
grown
more
man,
negative than positive as far as different women.
no, that's not true. That's not true.
Absolutely
That's
true.
what that's what then that's what these
100%
men are.
true.
Then that's
And
what
when we
these men are
solve for a problem,
deliberately
when you solve
choosing
for a
men. Then
problem,
they need to choose
solve
better.
for the
Then they need
majority.
to choose better.
When
Then
you
they need
solve
to choose
for a
better.
problem,
Because if we
you
know,
solve for the majority, you do not solve for the minority.
no,
If
but
you
the
have
thing
a
is,
small
Anton, you
group
can
of
play all
women
these
over here
semantic
that
gymnastics
are
games all
good
you want.
women, and then you have the majority of the women over here that got the same fucking starter kit. They look the same, they talk the same. The majority of them think the same, they operate the same, and they doing the same thing against guys, and they getting the same results. Then you got to look at the majority and say, you know what? That doesn't make sense.
That's not the majority though, and that's what I'm trying to say. It's like it becomes the
It is.
majority because everybody is hyper fixated on the negative aspects of women and men and dating in general.
But you're
I don't have
hyper-fixated on the
these-
red pill.
I don't have these weird ass problems with men. Right, the women in my life, we don't have these weird ass problems.
I
where
don't
we
have
gotta,
problems
you know,
either, but
do
it
all
doesn't
of
mean
these
that I
things. And
shouldn't
I'm not
advocate
around
for
men.
men.
I'm not around grown single men that are established that have this nasty viewpoint towards women.
Well, how like
They
that?
don't
It's
they don't
not a
fear
nasty
dating.
viewpoint.
They don't
See,
fear
you already
dating.
made up in your mind, so it don't matter.
They don't fear dating because somebody gonna use them. They're living their lives and they're intentional with how they move, and they're also very selective on who they date. I think a lot of times these men, right, who are obsessed with the red pill and kind of misconstrue the message, because I'm not saying there isn't a positive thing to take from it, but I think they use it as a way to, like, instead of finding a good woman that compliments them, they want someone to dominate over because they've been played before. So
Or
I
they
feel
just
like
realize that they don't need women at all, and women are a help. See, that's the thing. We're getting back, and y'all mad because guys finally got a microphone.
nobody is mad at y'all. I'm
Y'all
more so
mad
mad
because
because
guys have a
y'all fixated
microphone.
on negative things and you wonder why you don't
How are we
have
fixated
positive
on negative
results.
things? I, like you,
Yeah.
for example, I don't have problems in my life, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to advocate for updating family court laws, because I think that when you're in a position of power, you should use your platform for things that actually is transformational and not wait until you're under duress to have a conversation about it. Because at that point, nobody cares.
Okay,
Anton, what needs to be
who created these laws that you want women to advocate to change?
What you mean? It was necessary. I think that the laws were
That's
good.
not what I
at the time
asked
that they were
you.
created.
I asked you who created the laws that you want women
Legislators.
to now advocate to change.
Legislators. They
And,
did it for the protection
and
of women.
legislators. Who were these legislators?
I don't know them by name. If that's
You
what
don't
you're
know them by
asking.
name. Were they majority women? Were there majority women?
No, it were men.
They were men. Okay.
Mhm.
So if they were men, right? Why is it up for us as women to advocate for these changes? If men are upset about the laws that they created, shouldn't they be the ones advocating to change it?
I can answer that question for you. And I'm going to make it very simple. Because at the time that they were created, you didn't even have the ability to vote.
Okay, so now that we do now,
But wait,
thanks
we
for
getting
treating women like human beings and allowing
into
us
it
to
now.
vote.
Wait.
Thank
We
you
get
for
into
not going
particulars.
upside our
We
head.
created it to protect you. We were your
Thank you so
protection.
much. Thank you so much.
Wait,
Now that we've gotten past
hold
that.
on. Wait. Because I know that you want to do this. But now, when y'all have the choice to do what you want,
Do
you know what
nothing.
you
Just
did?
be logical.
You
Just keep getting
advocated for feminism. You advocated against family court. I mean, advocated against keeping the family together. We attached ourselves to Section 8. We attached ourselves to the federal government, and they incentivized us to break up our family. When y'all had the option to choose for yourselves, and it's not every woman, but a lot of women, this is exactly what happened. And then they hijacked it.
And is that what's still happening?
White
Are we
women
still choosing
incentivized
government
y'all.
assistance?
White women incentivized y'all. Hijacked the civil rights movement, replaced it with the feminism movement. That was just then hijacked and replaced by the LGBTQ plus community in addition to DEI. And so what happened was y'all realized that it didn't benefit y'all, but at the same time, you still advocated against it because by the time that you aged out, nobody gave a fuck about y'all opinion no more. So when we created something, when you didn't have the ability to do it for yourself, that was good for you to protect you because you didn't have the ability to work for yourself and make the same type of money as us.
That's
now
y'all
now that you're equal,
Y'all
now
say, so
that
you
your
want
vote
me to
means the
thank
same,
you? You want me
now
to
that
thank you
your
for
vote
treating
means
women
the
like
same
human
as
beings?
ours, now
You
that
want
you're
me to thank
equal,
men for finally treating women like human beings?
now that you
deserve
guys,
an award for that?
Stop, because you're the main one that tell people don't overtalk you. Don't interrupt you when you're talking. And this is exactly what happens.
Start making some sense. Start making some sense.
The
Because my
fact of the
patience
matter
is running thin.
now that you have the ability to work and do what you want to do and vote how you want to vote and choose where you want to live, and you don't have to subject yourself to a man, and you pick how you want to pick, and you have free autonomy with your body, your choice. You control the access to be able to birth a child. You do whatever the fuck you want. Now we're saying, okay, well, since we're going to make it equal, let's make it equal across the board. You should not by default get the kid if you're not the best parent. You should not by default automatically be put on child support. And there's a lot of things that need to be updated that was created at the time when y'all didn't have the option to choose for yourself.
Anton, what things need to be updated?
Can you
That's all we
finish? No, Anton, what things need to be updated? What laws need to be updated?
I think that we need to absolutely remove child support if somebody chooses to leave the house.
I agree. So that means that more men will not leave their seeds after they put one in a woman then.
I think that we should absolutely abolish.
Because they had to put child support in place in the first place because men were just dropping their seeds and just leaving them.
They didn't even ask you the question. He asked me the question.
I'm just saying I agree. So that so then maybe men, if we eradicate child support, maybe men will be smarter.
I think that we absolutely should. I think that we should do testing at birth. You should absolutely be able to test at birth. Did you know that a woman can put depending on what state that you in, for example, Trey, that a woman can attach a man's name to a birth certificate and force him to pay child support for a child that may not even be his. And even if he proved that it's his, after she put his name on the birth certificate, he could still be held liable for that. And it has been guys that has been sent to jail as a result of it because the state cares more about the payment that comes through because it's basically an institution. That's real systematic. It's an institution that's created to continue to keep these judges and keep the system in place and keep the lawyers employed instead of actually doing the thing that's in the best interest of the child. Men go to jail every day for children that aren't theirs, that are proven to not be theirs, but it doesn't even matter because it's left up to the discretion of the court. That should be changed 100%.
Anton, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you said something like we should be fighting for the majority and not the minority. Did you say something like that?
I said when we speak on issues, specifically with relationships, we speak on what the majority is doing and not the minority.
Okay. Because I think and maybe what you're saying, it wasn't applicable to this, is I think that the things you said are probably true, but I think they happen probably 1% of the time.
It doesn't. It happens every day.
The majority of men that are on child support aren't even paying full child support. 30% of them pay nothing.
Yeah, but if they don't pay, there's a warrant out for their arrest, and more importantly,
that's not
even
true.
if it is,
yes, it
and
is.
even if for the ones that don't have a warrant out for their arrest, here's the key: that child support debt never goes away.
Arrears.
Correct.
100%. They get charged interest, they get charged arrears, and if you don't pay it, I know a guy whose children are grown and he still owes back child support.
Well, tell him to take care of his kids. Why is it so
want to have that
easy?
conversation?
Why is it so easy for these men to walk
Trey
away?
asked me a question. He said, "What laws should be updated?" And
that's not always the situation. They not taking care of their kids that they paying child support. Because I done watched plenty of men. I have watched plenty of men take. Well, it's a lot of people's fault. I don't understand why you don't know what accountability is and why you so snappy. The problem is, like I said, I know plenty of men that pay child support, and at the same time, what they do is take care of their kids. I watched my ex-husband. I watched him fight that system. I watched woke women like you going there and try to convince.
Why did he have to fight for his kids?
He didn't have to fight for his kids. We was raising the kids and he was still paying child support because that's who he is. What I'm saying is there's different situations and nuances. And for some reason you think
support, but he was taking care of them? That's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. That's my point. It's called nuance. It's called a gray area. But you're saying things one way.
Child support.
And all.
But we were just talking about
it depends. Well, because child support has been abused. And don't sit here and act like you don't know that. Like, I don't know how you just sit there.
I know it can be abused.
Okay, so why won't you acknowledge certain things that you know to be true just so you could be combative?
I'm not. What I'm saying, what I noticed about you, particularly, Nikki, you lean very.
You ain't noticed nothing about me because I ain't said nothing.
You don't hold accountability for men at all. I hold accountability for both sides.
You don't know me.
That's the difference between you and I.
The only difference between you is I've been watching you for over a year and you've only seen me maybe
what a
once.
Fan.
No, not a fan. The fan is for this show. But I actually do. I like the nuances on the show.
Yeah.
And you are a very pretty girl, but your spirit is very ugly.
That's
the problem with you.
That's your opinion.
It is. Because that's what you present. Like, because you know certain things to be true, you are very disingenuous. I know that on both sides is some bull. And I also know that you got, especially with laws going on and all this stuff going on in the judge's office, these women sitting here running everything, they got grudges. Ain't nothing first. It needs to be rearranged. I'm not saying it should just be removed, but it definitely should be secured for pure deadbeats. Because if we don't have the money to pay something and they got to wait till we get paid, why do we expect them to just pop up with it magically? Why we can't wait till they get paid? You got a lot of women out here, they'll call and say the baby needs some shoes. And if he don't bring it right now, it's a whole issue. But hell, if you didn't have it, he got to wait till you get paid. Ain't nobody coming to collect child support on you. You a deadbeat too, and you sitting right in the house, probably don't even beat her. Like, come on now. So everybody need to be held accountable. Child support, I think, is for straight deadbeats because spending time and helping out and having that physical man in the house helping you with your child counts too. Because you have to do the same thing. Child support should be for men who just literally just do not care.
But
period. Point blank. They don't show up. They don't come around. They don't try. They don't do nothing. That's what I think child support should be reserved for.
I agree, but Nikki, didn't you just say that your child's father was on child support, but he was there for his kids? He's not a deadbeat, so why was he on child support?
No, she's saying the system
That's
is
exactly.
flawed. So there are some people, some men that have custody of their kids.
That's exactly why the system's broken.
And they're still having to pay child support.
What do
Like
you
I watch this judge.
But Jazz,
on child support though?
But Jazz, a man doesn't have to be a deadbeat to be on child support.
No, well, I don't know how it is in all states. I know where I'm at. If a woman serve food stamps and she get on food stamps and get a check and all that, they automatically put him on child support.
Oh, damn. I didn't know that.
And here's the worst part. I'll give you another one, Trey. Here's a beautiful one.
They could change that.
There are guys that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's just they need to rearrange. It just needs to be redone.
There are guys that documented it, showed up, actually didn't actually go on the system itself, but participated in the child's life, and also contributed into the child's life by giving money and making sure that they actually documented. As a matter of fact, Eddie Curry, he's a former NBA player. He talks about this all the time. He said that he actually would participate in his child's life and he would actually give the woman money. He would give her more than she would have gotten had she got on child support because they built a nice relationship and they were actually, co-parenting effectively in a child's life. Well, guess what happened? Because of child support laws and because of the way that judges have discretion to be able to do whatever it is that they wanted to do, once the kid turned 17, she went back and said that he never gave me anything officially on child support. And he had to pay back child support for 17 years, even though he had receipts that he had been giving her money that was more than what she would have gotten. And he wasn't in the NBA anymore. And so now he's getting garnished for the rest of his life because the judge's discretion said that he still owes that child support because he never officially got on the system. He participated in a child's life.
I agree. Like, that sounds crazy. That's super negative. I agree. I think that is an exceptional situation. I don't think that's the rule.
You will be surprised how many guys.
I think you're, Anton. I think you're right.
It's a lot. Listen. It's a multi-billion-dollar system annually. It is a racket.
It's a terror.
And I'm not saying that there aren't guys. I'm not saying that there aren't guys that's some trash that need to be held accountable, similar to what Nikki said.
Right.
What I'm saying is, if we are not revisiting this and saying, listen, don't sit here and tell me that by default everything is just supposed to stay the way that it's been over the last 50 to 60 years. That's nonsense.
I agree.
But we will see people advocate and protest against it when it's not conducive for the child. Because if we're doing this, if you're raising it, the whole goal is what's best for the child, not how you can subsidize your lifestyle, not how you can get back at the guy, not because you pissed off that the child looked like the guy, or you pissed off that he's not with you, or he taking care of some other chick or whatever. And so this is how you get back at him. And I'm not saying that that's all women, but that is a lot of what happens. It's what's best for the child. And that's why people are advocating against it, because it'll cut off their lifeline and force them to have to get jobs or be responsible or take accountability for their life instead of doing what they're supposed to do that's best for the child. And there's a lot of situations. Do you know that people advocate against mandatory DNA testing at birth?
I think I probably would I think I would advocate against that.
You advocate against it for what?
Like, are you talking about for people that are married or just like single people?
In general, it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
But why are you against it, Trey?
I would say if they married, I wouldn't say mandatory.
I think they should still get tested.
They should
still
if they're married,
babies outside of marriages, like from other people. Like, maybe because I'm into watching stuff like that.
They do, but at the end of the day, when they do it, they still make the man take care of it because they was married.
Well, it depends. There's certain states that you can get in and you can separate your parental rights, because I was a victim of paternity fraud like that. And then so they should definitely test everybody, even if you're married.
I would support any man.
I'm not trying to break all these people's hearts and families up.
They should have did right.
Leave stuff the way.
No, you can't have it both ways.
I support any man.
Happy wife, happy life.
Hell no, that's the problem. That's how we got
it. How many years did it take you to figure out you weren't the daddy?
I found out after 9 years.
Oh
my
God.
Yeah.
Jeez.
No.
Yeah,
Wait, did you not suspect it at all?
Wait. You said you was married too?
Yeah, my first wife.
Prime example.
Like,
damn.
Prime example. I was married. My first wife.
She was still like, after you found out, she was still conscious and everything.
Well, it's a unique situation, man. I'm a glass house experiment with this conversation, right? So I was in the Army, and I got married. Then I went back and forth to basic training and AIT, all my schools and everything. And then like within the early parts of our marriage, like we was only together like on paper like 5 years, but we was only together for like 3 of them. So in the toddler years of of the baby, I call it the matey baby. Because at some point when she started growing up, I noticed she didn't have any of my features, you know what I'm saying? And so like, I ended up going to Iraq twice. I didn't have time to divorce her, you know what I'm saying? As efficiently as I'd like to. And then later on, I got a
do it.
Huh?
Sorry, go ahead.
So later on in my time, I had somebody hit me up and let me know that my ex-wife was on the phone bragging to somebody that was a mutual friend saying that I'm not the dad. Like a real dumb flex. So I flew back home with a DNA test, did the swab myself, found out that she wasn't mine, and then I hired my family, my attorney that handled my divorce, and then I found out that the state where it happened at, it was in Alabama. I found out that Alabama was one of other 13 states where you can, if you prove paternity, you can abolish your parental rights, and I did it. And even then, the judge was still trying to make me pay child support.
So here's the thing. Hold on, Q. So this is perfect. This is a perfect example. What Red Pill does is it makes guys situationally aware before they put themselves in that position in the first place. What they do, what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to educate guys as to the do's and don'ts. If a guy comes to me today, for example, and I've had plenty of guys and I've gotten a lot of guys married, right? A guy comes to me today, he's a 40-year-old guy, and he meets a girl, right? And he says, Anton, I'm really successful. I love her. I'm the person that's going to snap him back to reality and say, okay, cool. I'm happy for you. I can't wait for y'all to get married. But did you do a prenuptial agreement? Let me make sure I put you with this lawyer. He's going to make sure that you do it the right way to be able to protect yourself, just in case 2 years from now that y'all decide that y'all want to get divorced, she's not taking half of your shit. You need to do it like this. You need to do it like, all it is information and the reality check of how you need to protect yourself, because when you seeing hazy because you in love, you can't see the reality of what you're going to be facing 2 to 3 years from now when the honeymoon phase is off. That's all it is.
Anson, I agree with you about prenups, and a man should do what he needs to do to protect himself. The thing what I disagree with is, like, Victor, your situation is crazy. I'm sorry.
9
That's
years.
not normal. Like that.
Yes, the hell it is, Trey.
You'll be surprised how many people.
I'm telling you,
a lot.
I'm telling you,
I would acknowledge
if you haven't experienced what I'm telling you, you can't speak on it.
But that would be the equivalent of me being in a car accident and saying, well, you haven't been, so you can't speak on it.
Trey, if you've never been a victim of paternity fraud, you do not know what you're talking about.
But if I look up percentage of paternity fraud and I see that it's less than 10%,
but you can't look up percentage of paternity fraud percentage, because how many people are lying about the paternity?
How many people?
You don't have a foundation to say that.
There's a lot of data that we can't actually add into this equation.
Exactly.
You know how many men probably never know. And we didn't even just talk about today's men. Do you know how many guys actually think that they daddy is they daddy that ain't really they daddy?
They got TV shows based on this. Paternity.
It's a lot of guys, bro.
I'm not contending with the fact that you guys are saying a lot of guys, but I still believe it is the exception and not the rule. There's no way you guys will say that this is
your opinion is based on nothing
in the world.
And as it's yours, just because something happened to you doesn't mean it's happening to everybody else.
Well, I don't care.
It is happening.
It's happening. I agree, Nikki.
I know a lot. You probably just don't know them people.
No, Nikki, I agree.
Let's say it's 5%. Let's say it's 5%.
Yeah, let's work off 5%.
You don't think that 5% is 5% too many?
I do think it is 5% too many.
So why wouldn't we adjust the laws to accommodate those guys to make sure that we have no paternity fraud?
I think that, in my opinion, I think that if a man is put on child support, he should be able to ask for a mandatory paternity test.
Why are you against mandatory paternity tests at birth?
So in theory, Anton, if a woman has a baby and writes your name down, I don't think the government should come and knock at your door and say, hey, we need your blood, we need your DNA. I don't think it should be able to do that to you. And I don't think I would be an advocate for the government having access to your DNA just because
the government has access.
She got everything anyway.
Wait. The government has access and the autonomy to be able to determine whether or not you're going to be on child support if she filed for divorce. The government automatically steps in by default.
Okay,
you don't have a choice. No. You don't have a choice.
But you do have a choice. You can get
because the minute that she files for a government assistance, they want to know, is it a man living in the house with you? And they're going to hunt down the person that is on that birth certificate to make sure that they file for child support.
And to my understanding, the man can then go to the court and say, hey, that child is not mine. And then there will be a mandatory paternity test.
No. Because especially in certain states, if you've taken care of that child because you thought that it was your child, if you've taken care of it for however many long, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, the judge has the autonomy to be able to say, no, that's your child. You got to continue to take care of it because you've been taking care of it. You can't come back and do a DNA test and then remove yourself from responsibility of it. They don't care.
I just explained that very scenario.
They don't care.
I just explained that very scenario. The judge was still trying to make me pay child support, even though the law says something different, and I got off of it.
Victor, I'm aware of your anecdote, and I appreciate your anecdote. I'm not saying that you're a liar.
See, your thing is like, okay, I've been married for going on 5 years, And we have a 2-year-old. When I was giving birth, they asked, like, okay, do you like him? Does he want to take one? Because it's been so many cases of where they'll have a baby and then it's like they're not the father. And so my nurse, she was actually talking to me and my husband, telling us that you would be surprised how many people have taken care of these kids for 9 years, 10 years. Sometimes they're adults and they will forever believe that they're that child's father. And the whole time they're taking care of another man's kid. So that's totally believable. And again, like, and to Victor,
These women need to go to jail for that shit.
because my cousin went through the exact same thing, and it tore him up because he thought his 4-year-old son was his, and the whole time he came back from the army, and they got their paternity test, and he was like, "You're not the father," and it tore him up. So I completely understand where you're coming from on that.
Yep.
Can I? No, I agree. I'll make it clear. I agree that it happens. I just don't think it's happening as frequently as you guys are portraying it.
There's what it's happening way more than what you think, Trey.
If you could prove that to me, I would love to see it.
Can I ask a question?
What you
just
got,
to tie back in the red pill. So Anton was saying, like, okay, this is what red pill does. It helps men to identify these situations, to avoid these situations. Okay, and my question is, how does the red pill help men to choose a woman that they know will not do something like paternity fraud? How does the red pill help to build a man's discernment to choose the right woman that is guaranteed to not hurt him in a way, by way of paternity fraud, or, you know, divorcing him to take him for everything? How does the red pill help build a man's discernment on choosing the right woman?
If I had to say, because I have something different than red pill that I have as my own brand called Accountable Masculinity. But if I had to say what red pill does, it depends on who you're consuming information from. Okay. Because there's prosperity preachers on every level of information. Like if you want to, like you got the sprinkle lady, you know what I'm saying? You got you know, whoever you can get your information from on the feminine side, right? But it depends on what catches your eye as a woman, because y'all don't date women, you know, unless you do. But men date women, so we know what we're looking at and dealing with based on what we can attract. I think the question you're asking is best answered by the source of information and where it comes from. The problem comes in is when women start consuming and paying attention to things that they don't like about what men discuss, because women have plenty of things that they discuss that men probably wouldn't find favorable, but we're not invading women's spaces to find out what we don't like, so we'd be mad about it.
So what are some things that you've heard, particularly in the red pill space, where you say, okay, I need to take this? Like, do you have any, like, this person said I need to do X, Y, and Z?
You want me to go answer the question for you?
But
I can answer the question for you.
I'm sorry, there was a delay. You said what?
I said I can answer the question for you if that's what you want.
Yeah, I was just curious on, like, how do they, like, what advice do they give guys to say? Is it a type of woman they say to avoid, a type of personality, a character?
Yeah, I mean, it's all encompassing. So, for example, we separate the difference between. I think it's a much different. There's a difference between a hoe and a housewife.
Yep.
And so, a lot of times, you separate it based off of the red flags. You can go and look for certain things that women do that would let you know that, you know, she's the person that you're supposed to be marrying versus the person that you're not supposed to be marrying.
Question. So what are the red flags to show that this woman may do paternity fraud on you?
Y'all don't want to know that. You don't really want to know that answer.
I can tell you.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
A lot of the characteristics.
Well, I'm not gonna answer that simply because
I can tell you.
I think it'll hurt y'all. It will really hurt y'all.
Yeah, and I'm gonna hurt your feelings on this one.
Hurt our feelings. I mean, y'all like doing that anyway.
Well, here's the thing. The reality of it is this right here. The main characteristics that men need to pay attention to are paying attention to women that are raised without their fathers, the ones that's raised by women. Most promiscuous women are raised by promiscuous women without their fathers, and they don't respect men. Women that come from a house full of women are red flags.
Men too.
Okay, so
yeah, of course, men too. We talking about the women though right now.
Okay, but no, but what I'm okay, all right.
She asked me for a red flag, and I'm gonna give her one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
but,
And for women, don't date men that come from a house full of women. It's the same thing.
Okay, are you saying that all women that have grown up without their fathers are like this?
No, the ones that fit the behavior.
Okay.
Majority.
So if two women can be born under the same roof without a father, and one not be promiscuous and the other one is, then how do you decide which one is which?
The behavior.
Okay, because if you don't know me, and I'm sitting right here, and the other girls right here, we both say we came from a single parent home. Our mothers raised us. Our fathers wasn't there. How would you then know which one of us is promiscuous?
Oh, it's really simple. It's just your behavior.
Okay, my behavior. At what point do you observe my behavior to say, okay, she's promiscuous? At what point? Is it right when you meet me and you know that I don't have a father, or is it after we go on a couple of dates?
I can tell by the way you
what
talk.
Is the determining
I
factor?
can tell by the way you hold a conversation. If you combat
like how? Give me an example.
Jazz, you don't know what hoes look like? You're a woman.
Yeah.
No, I don't because here's what I'll tell you. A hoe is sitting right up in church right now, praising the Lord with a turtleneck on, right?
Okay.
A woman that barely has sex is walking around here with a mini skirt on with her titties out, right? So no, you can't look at a woman and say she's a hoe.
You don't
because
date
you don't
women,
really know. You
It's
don't
not
really know.
Absolutely can.
You don't date
Absolutely
characteristics.
can.
Like it's like character. Like we've been around.
But you have to get to know someone, right? Of course.
Can I get?
Of course.
Can,
But you have
can I
to get
define
to,
it
that's why
again?
I'm asking.
That's why I just said
You have
behavior.
to get to know someone to
It's
understand
behavior.
their character.
It's
I was
behavior.
just going off of the initial interaction.
Well,
you meet a woman, you see a woman. How do you see that woman and say she's a promiscuous whore from a single parent household? How does the red pill help you to sharpen that eyeball?
Well, we talk about behavior. We let you talking shape that outcome.
You said you let us talking.
Can I ask you this behavior? He said behavior first.
I think.
So what kind of behavior does a promiscuous woman portray?
Argumentative.
Really?
Is you trying to call Jazz a promiscuous woman?
Hey,
That's fine.
It may not This is an 80.
That is very silly to say because there are plenty of women that are argumentative that are
80% of the time, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck.
So you're saying women who are argumentative in that debate are promiscuous?
They're not helping
no way
to a
you can
relationship.
quantify that. Don't say it.
I'm sorry, what?
They're not conducive to a relationship, not a healthy one.
Wait, which one is it? Are they promiscuous or are they not conducive to a relationship?
Yeah, we immediately assume that you're promiscuous too, because if you're not getting what you want and let me explain. Let me explain.
So because a woman argues with someone.
Do you want the explanation?
Yes, please. I'm sorry.
All right. If you argue with me, right, on a regular basis, and you don't get what you want, and I don't get what I want, I'm gonna go get it from somewhere else, right? Until I find exactly what I'm looking for.
That makes you promiscuous?
Hear what the fact that I even have to explain it says yes.
What?
The fact that I have to explain it, meaning like if you don't get what you want from guy to guy to guy, that means you're promiscuous.
But just because if I don't get what I want from guy to guy to guy, so are you assuming that every guy that I come across, I'm sleeping with them?
No. Because promiscuous.
So if I'm not sleeping with them, but I'm with this guy, we're not compatible. I talk to this guy, we're not compatible. I talk to this guy, we're not compatible. I'm just confused on how. Like, if I don't get what I want, how does that automatically mean? If I don't get what I want from this guy and this guy and this guy, how does that make me promiscuous?
Well,
that just means that I haven't found the
say?
right person for me yet.
What would your father say?
About what?
Everything you just asked.
I think he would be just as confused as I am, because how does a woman who is dating and not having sex with
When's the last time you talked to your father about this?
About this?
Yeah,
what do you mean about this?
Like just in dating and anything else dealing with men. When's the last time you talked to him?
I mean, I don't know about like relationships. I don't know. Probably the last time, probably around my birthday.
So how long ago was that?
Why does it matter?
Because I'm getting. Here we go.
It was in my birthday was in December. I don't know. Okay, so
was he married to your mom?
No.
That's my point. See, this issue is about single
wait,
parents.
what's your point?
Single parents raise kids that are most likely going to end up being single parents.
But my mother didn't raise me as a single woman. She was remarried.
If it wasn't with your biological father, I got an argument.
I mean, that's like, and I know how y'all feel about stepfathers. Y'all think they're just the pits of hell.
I'm not talking about stepfathers. I'm not talking about that.
Dummies. I know how to.
No. I'm not trying to talk about stepfathers. I'm talking about.
So you're assuming that because my biological father wasn't married to my mom, that I'm promiscuous.
No, I didn't say that. I just said it's a different behavior. I'm just saying it's a different behavior.
So, Jazz, can I ask you a question?
The reason I was able to ask the questions, the reason that I was able to ask the questions as specifically as I did is because your behavior made me ask the question.
What is my behavior? I'm just asking you how the red pill helps you to look at a woman and say, this is a woman that's not going to.
I'm displaying it right now. I'm really mapping out your profile based off of red pill.
Okay, so give me my profile.
Argumentative, are you?
And you say every argumentative woman is promiscuous, right?
Listen to respond. You don't understand.
Can I ask Jazz a question? Q, one quick second. Sorry.
Be left asking. I think when it comes to red pill men, they're basing it on their experience. They're telling, just like Victor went through this whole thing, just like women, the little what's the sprinkle shit. She's telling ladies, get a man with money, and she got her husband bringing in, oh yeah, sprinkle. They're basing it on encounter. So
but there's
the same thing. So,
but there's reasons why the red pill gets the bad name that it does. It's because a lot of the guys that do talk the rhetoric, they don't live by the standard that they're talking about.
Most people don't live the standard that they talk about either, but they be out here showing their ass.
I just don't understand how you could say a woman is on a panel that's debating topics is automatically promiscuous because she's sitting here debating.
I just said the behavior. I don't know what your life is. I said it's an 80-20 situation. But my behavior is just debating. It is an 80-20. It is an 80-20 situation. It is not the fact that you're debating.
So
it's the style.
So Jazz, can I ask you a question?
Victor, are you saying that
Victor,
women are even if you're not sleeping with them, they promiscuous as long as they're dating?
No. I'm not saying.
No, I just want to ask. Let me ask one question.
I gotta go.
Question out first.
I've had enough tonight. I gotta go.
We gotta get a super chat because we gotta get out of here.
Okay.
Ashton, you can ask your question if she's still around, but let me get the super chat. Hold on, Ashton. Am I sapiosexual for Miss Montgomery? God bless you. New Jersey will be at a deficit after this new $60 billion budget proposal. Governor Murphy is increasing taxes like never before on everything, even trucking. Red pill is results oriented. Want different red pill content change what gives results. AK good guys finish last. Nikki Mama Green, you hit the nail on the head. Women hate the red pill on paper, but in practice, they love it. In contrast, they like the idea of a nice guy, but hate it in practice. If Q take her love away from me, I'll go crazy. It seems people don't get what RP, red pill is. Yep. What it is truly is getting men on board with modern era dating / relationships. Most of it is self-improvement first. Kevin was an imitation Tommy Sotomayor, stage calls, copy, and Tommy. Only reason Kevin Samuels' sleuths went viral was because women refused to take accountability compared to men, and toxicity goes viral. Kevin Samuels never claimed red pill. He exposed men and women's unrealistic expectations in dating. It says, you can tell Jazz came ready to talk tonight. Over here, channeling her inner Shirley Tulsa. A house is a liability, not an asset. You need to invest in order to create generational wealth. What's your point, Jazz? Red pill is more than dating. It's men's self-development, a development that builds a society and then leads it. Red pill builds men to lead, provide, and protect their families. Jazz pulling a full Jasmine Crockett with the lies. Can somebody tell Jazz to shut the heck up? Jazz don't want anything. Jazz don't know anything about FNF. Only saw clips. Jazz once again displaying how she can't comprehend. There's some truth to what Jazz is saying about Fresh and Fit, but it could be exaggerated. Shout out to Slimmy. Anton, you got to stop Jazz lighting, bro. Red Pill was created by a Black woman. She wrote The Matrix. The whole concept of Red Pill couldn't tear a woman down. Wake up. Wait, true. What?
Yep. The same lady that wrote Terminator wrote The Matrix.
I didn't know that. Jazz equals hit dog hollering. Anton is right. OnlyFans was not made for what we see it as. It was made to give fans exclusive content from celebrities and turn it into porn only. Red Pill intent is honesty. Either the hammer builds a house or it causes harm. Jazz, am I dying to know your origin story to oppression? And on just on pop balloon. Benevolent, brilliant, and beautiful. Miss Michaela Montgomery. Jazz and Jess watched 5 FNF shorts, 10 minutes, and now they think they know something about Red Pill, which has been around for 20 plus years. Jazz be so out of control with Molly, not around to handle her. Jazz on the tone. Hey, Jazz, you need a wide time. You sound backed up. Oh, come on, y'all. I put money that the woman in Jazz told me are single and married. I understand Red Pill or came from white men mostly, but taking manhood back. Women spent years talking about we don't need men. If he does, leave him. If he's not happy, leave him. The moment guys decide to try to save family by telling you the truth, it's bad. That's a good point. Michaela and Nikki are so refreshing. Shout out to Molly. Jazz, the most professional bummer victim with a cam. Oh, third paternity test, come back negative. Always a great show when someone is cooking Jazz. Jazz is beautiful, but her spirit nasty as hell. But I'm all the DMs though. X out emotions when logic is needed. Please, Nikki, you need to pipe down. You're our old elder, and you're supposed to be the example. Too old to be that nasty and aggressive. If a woman can decide to abort a baby, then a man should be able to abandon one without repercussions. It's only fair. Jazz shutting up plus equals understanding. Trey's a super simp. Nikki versus Jazz. Nikki for the win. Yeah, because being married has always stopped a woman from getting pregnant by someone other than her husband. Shout out to Learn More. Mandatory paternity test before a child leaves the hospital. Red Pill is becoming a religion. People going to go against it. 4 out of 10 paternity tests come back with bad news. 1 out of 3 men tests turned out to not be the father. To sit up and say Victor's experience is an outlier blows my mind. We need actual parents who live it to chime in on this topic. Y'all named 10 examples and Trey called all of them exceptions. So y'all named 10 exceptions. Trey from now wear a wig when you're on the panel. Between these delusional Democrats and Trey spewing beta blue pill rhetoric, I'm never rocking blue ever again. You love your lineage, but you reject your own hair. Trey is a clown. You asked me for proof in 2025. The proof is called the Mary Povich Show, idiot, and the other 10 shows that copied off of Mary's show. You are not the father. Trey is extremely disingenuous. The percentage of paternity fraud in the United States is estimated to be as high as 30%, but there's no official data. Trey, you is cut. U.S. says paternity fraud rates range from 0.8 to 30%. There's a video on YouTube of a judge who raised 3 grown kids. He found out 50 years later. It's crazy. We're almost done. Trey, most men find out they're not the father during events such as organ donation, blood transfusion, and ancestry lookup. Seen from life, who's the daddy of this chocolate baby? I'm the pappy. I'm sick of hearing Jazz. Can we hear from Michaela? Jazz, was your mom this combative with your stepfather? My God, Jazz. He said behavior 20 billion times. Jazz, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You gotta let people talk. 30% of DNA tests show false paternity. The red pill aren't rules to live by. It's not a prescription or commandments. The red pill is only being aware of the truth and moving accordingly. Get the DNA test at birth. That saves years of court battles and lawyer fees. Jazz has effed up relationship with her biological father and probably tolerated the men who raised her. Jazz is a cutie when she's not talking. Her and Trey both have some smooth brains. Last one. Damn, you don't know who Shirley? No, I don't. You're officially not allowed to speak on Black topics again. Okay. But shout out to you guys. I think that when it comes to the red pill, I think there are some men that have dimmed what red pill really is. So it gave it like the negative aspect of things. And that's why like social media is like, ooh, red pill. But if it's what Anton explained it to be, I don't see nothing wrong with it because women do that shit all the time. They've been doing it prior to them. You know,
I feel like, much like Anton said, a lot of men have never felt a safe space to express how they feel. And a lot of men don't necessarily have a space in which they feel like they can hold other men accountable, i.e., which is why we have red pill content. Like a lot of the men have pointed out, it started out as something that was to be a self-development tool for men. This is what you should be doing as a man. This is how you should be acting as a man. You cannot go out here and brand yourself as a protector, a provider, and the head of the household if you're not actually protecting and providing and able to take care of the household. Now, when we move to the conversation to the things about child support, I do believe in mandatory testing at birth. I don't believe in the abolishment of the system, period. However, of course, there was the whole debate about paternity fraud and all of those things. I'm sorry, Trey, but those examples that were given were not anomalies at all. We know plenty of people who have raised children that weren't theirs, i.e. we heard Kanye West rapping about it all the way back in 2005, 20 years ago, talking about 18 years, and on the 18th birthday, he found out it wasn't his. Lastly, though, I think that when it comes to red pill content, women unfortunately get upset about some of the things that men say, but these are the same women who, feel like they can trash talk men all the time. I think unfortunately social media has become a very toxic space in which we do give toxic people platforms. So for us to bring up Fresh and Fit as an example, that's probably one of the most toxic examples of a hey, men, this is what you're supposed to be doing. When we look at Kevin Samuels, the examples that were brought up were correct. Kevin Samuels were holding men accountable because men were calling in and he was saying, sir, if you can't afford this woman, you don't need to talk to this woman. Sir, if you have to worry about how much the bill costs, you probably shouldn't be out taking nobody nowhere, But unfortunately, the only clips we can think of are women who called in and talked about how they were, 5'2" and 230. And Kevin Samuels said, well, the man you want, you're not going to get because you don't look the part. And while that might sound harsh, it's true. So, you guys, I feel like red pill content is for the men. We have the sprinkle content for the women. At the end of the day, does it mean that everybody who speaks is right? No, but everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And all of you as independent thinkers are supposed to take said information and decide for yourself if you believe that this is it or this is not it. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, we believe that people who have a large following, their opinions are law. And that's not the case. Because just like how Jazz brought up that men were defending raping women or trying to blame women for being raped, that's not the idea. That's not the mindset of every red pill content man. Yet just because he has a large following, it is kind of dangerous for them to be implying things like that for the young and impressionable minds. That I can agree with. However, again, we are all grown and responsible for the decisions that we make. If a man wants the title of being the head of household, he should be able to be the head of said household. If a woman wants a certain type of man, at the end of the day, she does have to know how to bask in her feminine energy, because you're not going to attract a very masculine alpha male if you yourself act as an alpha male. So women, we have red pill content as well. And so it's like, unfortunately, our red pill content isn't as popular as our blue pill content, because this new age of feminism and you don't need a man and we can trash talk them, like it's bad on both sides, and both sides deserve the blame. At the end of the day, you have a bunch of men telling you this is what you got to do to get some pussy, and then you have a bunch of women telling you this is what you got to do to swindle money out of a man, And so either way, both parties are wrong, but you as an adult, you as a woman, you can decide if somebody can buy your pussy. And you as a man, you can decide if whether or not somebody's going to swindle you out of your money. Like, some people are called simps for taking women's on dates, for being a serial dater, while other men are seen as providers because they can afford to be a serial dater. So again, this is all subject to your individual opinion and your individual experience. Only you know the type of person that you want to be, and only you know the type of relationship you would like to be in. So why in the world would you even be looking to influencers in the first place to tell you what your relationship should look like? That's like us going to all of these different prophets who are trying to tell us what our relationship with God looks like. You can go to 3 different churches and they'll all tell you that your worship system or your way of, talking to God and getting close to God, they're going to give you 3 different means of doing it. Some people will say you have to go to church every week. You got to do Bible study. Other people will tell you that your relationship with God is simply your relationship with God, and you build it how you choose. You understand? The same goes for your relationships with other people. So while I understand that red pill, blue pill, whatever, this type of content might have, of course, shaken things up in the dating world, it only goes to show how much people aren't thinking for themselves anymore. And I think that that's the real issue that we really need to address. Because why is a man, chest out, arms up, a man looking to another man to tell him how to be a man, and that man isn't his father? Why is a woman, chest down, teeth out, looking at another woman, telling her how to be a woman? Like, at the end, and that's not your mother. So again, y'all did all of this, but y'all can watch an influencer all day. People watch this debate go on for the last 3 hours, and guess what? People are still going to form their own opinions, regardless of how right or how wrong each of us as panelists were. And that's all I have to say.
Well, before we leave, make sure y'all, we're going to go through each panelist. Tell the people where they can find you. Go ahead, Michaela, you start off. Where can the viewers find you?
Okay, hello, everybody. I am on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Cashapp. No, but it's all the same name, Miss Kayla Baby, as you guys can see right here under my name. I appreciate all the love, and, I'll be back, y'all.
Thank you for coming. Trey, you don't want to be found?
I don't want to be found. If you try to look for me at antondaniels.com.
Trey owes child support. That's why he's hiding.
Exactly. That's why I don't want those mandatory paternity tests. Exactly.
Yeah. Nikki, where can you be found?
You can find me on TikTok and on YouTube at Just a Brown Girl in America. And it's not a lot of content. I haven't got rammed back up yet. So, but we working on it. We getting there.
Okay.
I'm working on our local MERS race. Miss Tashara Tashara Jones, I'm in St. Louis, posted a fake ad about her opponent being cool with MAGA. So it's getting pretty hot around right here.
Being hot. Jess?
Yeah.
You can follow me at itsme_gorgeous on all social media platforms.
Okay. Ashton?
Yeah, I can be found at U_no 2 Entertainment on IG.
IG. Okay, Victor?
You can find me on YouTube at Accountable Masculinity University, and you can go on Amazon and look for the book Accountable Masculinity. It's about identifying the disciplined man in you. Everybody talking about red pill and blue pill. I'm talking about the gold pill. Where you trying to go? Not GOLD. What goals are you trying to accomplish in life? And every man could benefit from this. Is based off of 5 rules, and check the book out. It's available on Amazon. I dropped the link in the chat already. You know what I'm saying? And you find me on IG at InternetStepDaddy. You can find me on Facebook at Victor Vinciant too. So.
Okay. What about you, Angel? Can't be found either?
Oh, I can. I'm on TikTok and Facebook. It's Angel Jones.
Angel Jones. Well, no, I appreciate you guys coming on the panel today. If you're interested in the panel, you got to DM me in IG. Just put panel. Men, if you've been on here, let the other men. It's about a lot of men waiting. Okay. Please be patient in my DMs. Don't call me because I'm not going to pick it up. Okay. And IG.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Q. I don't like how you had me on layaway.
Trust me, my DMs are crazy. Like I don't even open my DMs on the weekday. I only go on Sunday and Monday. So you waste your time. Don't DM me any other days, you guys. I'm not gonna look at it. But ladies, if you're interested, hit me up. But I do appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you. Tune into the Millionaire Morning Show mañana and go follow these content creators, you guys, and be nice to them. Don't go on their platforms and say some mean shit. Don't do that. We're not about that. Adios, you guys. Bye.
Have a good night.
Yes. Look here, folks. Hey, man, I appreciate you guys tuning in and staying committed. Appreciate everything y'all do to support what I got going on. You've seen the feed, and you guys been rocking with it for a minute. I told y'all when I started talking about behavior, it shows itself. I don't have to do anything. And they eventually just fill in the profile because that behavior cannot be dismissed. And even when I said it, she just kept trying to combat me, kept trying to combat me. So And it's not anything personal. Don't know her. First time I ever had an interaction with her, you know what I'm saying, outside of seeing her on the panel and everything. But when people ask you, how can you tell based off of red pill content if there's a chance that a woman won't be for you or how you evaluate her? It's based off how she interact with other people. If she's doing that with other people, what makes you think that you're gonna be exempt? Argumentative. She thinks debating requires all of the animation, and it doesn't. You just have to be willing to listen, and you know what I'm saying, listen to understand and interpret it, and not look for a way to just prove your emotional standpoint. Just take the information and say, hey, I'll take that into consideration. But nah, you just want to listen, and so you can find a way to confirm your biases, and that's not the point. And you see, she rage quit. Yeah, you seen that, Dion? Hey, over there got cooked and then rage quit. Stop playing, man. Stop playing with me. This ain't even hard to say. I ain't even had to say much. There would be no peace with that woman. Absolutely. I ain't even had to say much, bro. I just said I answered her questions and it pissed her off. Think about that. When you answer a person's questions and it pisses them off because they don't want to hear the answer, it's like you was already assuming that you had the answers for the test, and then that response that you got wasn't in line with what you thought you already knew. People don't like their worlds destroyed, man. And it don't even take a whole lot to destroy somebody's self-perception. You answer a question, and if you know the truth, you stand on business. You don't have to flake, you know. Yeah, man, like that rage quit is funny though. She didn't even give a damn about trying to stay on and find out what's going on. Hey, shout out to my man Dedrick. Hey, yeah, dude talking about percentages. He's like, I have been a victim of paternity fraud, and it happens daily. Yeah, man, it's nothing worse than somebody listening to your authentic experience to come back and you know, say something weird to you, you know. Hey, appreciate you, William. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, sir. Man, hey, I really appreciate it, Anton Daniels and the rest of the panel, Island Girl Q, for bringing me on so I can say my piece. I know I didn't get a chance to talk as much as I didn't know what I anticipated. I was just happy to be there so I could support. But yeah, Trey a different case. I ain't protect Michaela. Yeah, for real. And like, guys, what I wanted y'all to see on this too, because when it got to the red pill stuff, was showing y'all how radicalized the red pill has become to some women. See, when you listen to women talk about red pill content, they're going to pick out the thing that they cannot agree with. They will never talk about, I don't know, they never use the lead attorney as a good example of, you know, like what good content for men that they can learn from. They'll never use that guy. I'm sure there's some other guys out there. Like, I've only studied the behavior of the men that follow red pill content. And one of the things I didn't get a chance to say was that same red pill content that triggers those women and it triggers those men, that both those communities are raised by the same type of household. You see, when I asked her, what does your father think about your perception of men based on red pill content? And there was that long stutter, that long pause, because she ain't got no relationship with her daddy. Because if she can make any assumptions about men, then why not make some about that? You know what I'm saying? And I'm only reacting to the way that you responded. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And when you get down to it, we got to be careful about making assumptions of stuff just because of the opposite gender. You have to observe the behavior. And if you see the behavior, you can't overlook it. The behavior is how that person thinks. What they do tells you about their thought process. That's why when you say, why would somebody do something that stupid? Because it's what stupid people do. They make dumb decisions. You know what I'm saying? They make decisions that we would never uphold or support or promote. Not in the disciplined thinking community, you know. Let me go through these chats real quick. Yeah, going back over here. My man, shout out to my man Diesel. Going back to the boycott stuff. Without an agenda, the boycott is useless. Absolutely. The DEI didn't even start in corporate America until George Floyd died, and y'all didn't have any issue spending there. We got to learn the difference between productivity and activity. When Minister Farrakhan proposed a boycott in 2015, he was laughed at. A white man suggested, and now black folks is all in. That's very, very true. And real solutions require accountability. So, and shout out to my man Diesel for contributing to tonight's platform. Hang on a second. We got my man Jared Walker. The crazy thing is we can black out on stores, but not cease to black out on killing our own people. Yep. I said we need to boycott YNs. That's what the new phrase is nowadays anyway. So, and here we go. Oh, Gail Bernard. Yeah, look at that face. I see you, baby. Ma'am, why does that not matter? Because look, that's when he got caught up on all that race stuff. Look, folks, we are not going to move the conversation forward being hung up on trying to make other people feel the way that we feel. That's delusion. You can't even do that with the people in your own family, but we're supposed to make a whole different demographic and a different class of people think differently, you know what I'm saying, to empathize with our problems or what we believe is a problem. Yep. So professional victimhood ain't gonna get us nowhere. It ain't gonna push us forward. You know what I'm saying? and Jazz is definitely the reason why nobody wants to listen to black people, especially black women. You ain't lying. You ain't lying. You ain't finna communicate effectively with nobody by thinking and communicating that way and being disrespectful and stepping all over, you know what I'm saying, folks' situation. So here we go. Yeah, man, that was a crazy icebreaker when we had going on. Yeah. Shout out to the Average Black Man Show. Yep, got on the panel with him. Got on there, man. It was a good experience. I'll do it again. Hopefully they want to have me back because I still had some more stuff I needed to talk about. Trey was on there talking crazy, talking about everything he said ended up in being something negative. He didn't say nothing positive. Nothing. And he said he didn't know any. He started off when he was talking about Ukraine. He said he didn't know anything about it. And then he was sitting there having an extended conversation on how to defend it without knowing anything about it. It's ridiculous. Foreign policy be killing a lot of people. They just got to be part of the conversation. Yeah, opinions aren't always based on facts. So you can't say nobody can tell you your opinions are wrong. You can't lead into a convo about men when when men correct you, you deflect instead of actually listening for comprehension. Dedrick, spot on. Like we're supposed to be having a conversation to allow information to change our opinions with facts and lived experience. If you don't date women, how can you say it isn't a majority? Men see it daily. We don't have to choose them to see and hear it. I don't think Trey has the same type of experience with relationships that most men do. That's just my opinion. It's got to be a mental illness to not be able to listen for comprehension. Yep. Dedrick, the next time I do a panel, you want to be on it? Okay, bro. We can do something. Folks don't be understanding how jacked up these courts are and have been to men. These women literally do that shit out of spite or greed. It happens daily. Yep. And that was when the topic was about paternity fraud and child support and how men get exploited. I've been saying this for a long time too. Like when people was talking, I think Jazz brought up about America's culture when the icebreaker conversation happened and it went down the line for identity politics. And I believe it's something completely different. I believe that America's foundation is about human trafficking. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look at every institution and every financial system that deals with relationships, from marriage to divorce to child support to the foster care system, all of it pivots off of sexual discipline and human trafficking, even down to population control, property taxes, how schools get funded, you name it, all the way down to abortion clinics. So there's a lot of details that go into how we are where we are society-wise. How can Trey advocate against mandatory DNA tests and married or not? There are a lot of fraudulent families out there. Yeah, I do not understand. Like, see, that's how you know you're talking to an op. any man that has a problem with mandatory DNA testing, you can't trust that man. Like, why would you? Come on. Dude talking about percentages. I have been a victim of paternity fraud and it happens daily, dude. It's more common than you can imagine. My man Lawrence versus Low. Damn, blocker. I think he was talking about Jazz. Nope, she don't get it. For sure, protect Michaela and Nikki. Got up out of there. Rage quit. Yeah, Trey weird. But folks, I appreciate you guys riding it out. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you guys get a chance to see this again. I'm gonna cut some clips out of it. But this has been another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. And you see why I call it the end of the gender war, because these are the type of conversations you got to have to make things make sense. We got to think critically, and we got to have a better representation of ourselves to get better feedback. Relationships are reflective. Remember that. So until next time we see you, hey, go get the book. You see it in the chat. Holla at your boy. Become a subscriber on the YouTube channel. And I'm out. Appreciate y'all.